Today's episode might sound a little weird. We tried recording with new microphones and it didn't quite work out. Still, enjoy the episode. So this is Alpha Buse's home address.
Yeah.
Number 21. Oh, hi guys!
Yeah, hi there.
Is this being heard? Rattle something outside the container if this is being heard. Well, I heard something right now. Oh, that's just the sounds of my good friend Dr. White.
Yeah. These are medical samples.
What?
I haven't drank anything but salt water for 6 months, so warm Central Asian piss.
Do you know how those taste?
I've been here long enough, you get used to the different types in here.
We literally... Okay, we didn't just get here.
No,
The new crate has come with many new things, and apparently regional piss is one of them. I'm glad that you're the one drinking it and not me.
Hey, Bear Grylls said I could survive on piss.
No, he just...
Admittedly, it was his own, but...
Dr. White, people say a lot of things.
At this point, I just think Bear Grylls had a fetish. Like, I'm just like poorly disguised fetish of just like drinking piss in the woods.
I guarantee you there's someone whose like fetish is like surviving in the woods.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, like, it's so
100%.
hard thinking about living in the trees.
Why did you turn into Kermit towards you? I love living in the trees.
Well, he does.
He does.
You ever seen Kermit's... What the fuck is it called? Kermit's origin story?
No, I didn't see that Christopher Nolan movie.
Kermit Begins.
Yeah, Kermit begins.
Speaking of frogs living in trees.
Whoa!
Okay, this is not a talking about Mega Man moment.
Within the first 2 minutes, you know you're reaching in a podcast where you start a fucking sentence with, so speaking of frogs in trees. Jesus Christ.
Okay, I'm not much of a Star Wars person, and every fourth I bully by telling her that everything is Yoda's fault.
Right.
But aside from that, apparently the new Mandalorian episodes has revealed that, like, the Yoda species mostly live on, like, swamp life. Which means that planet that Yoda was on wasn't like a special exile planet. He was there because he could eat fucking everything. He was the apex predator of that world.
Oh my word. That doesn't sound right. Have you seen his little arms?
Yeah, but he would just be walking around being like, hungry for frog I am, and reach out and just force grab a frog out of the fucking pond, yank it towards him, and it's like, no.
I can give you this frog as a prop. We have a frog in the container.
Oh, it's a little wizard frog.
It's a wizard frog,
I
yeah.
love that wizard frog.
That was a gift from another resident in the container. They got it from.
I see.
Deeper within the void. But anyways, welcome back to our somewhat gaming-related podcast.
Where we
Our biannual.
Gaming-adjacent biannual podcast.
Happy Bite Awareness Day, everybody. That's when we're uploading this.
Oh God! It's currently International Women's Day.
Oh, it is.
It is. Yeah. It's a
okay.
happy International Women's Day, everyone.
Which we're the only ones.
Congratulations to all the women's out there.
Yeah.
We have to remind you this because apparently that's been removed off Google Calendar. So if you found out through this episode of Return to Sender, congratulations.
Congratulations, you're too late.
Yeah, it's probably it happened like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But it is good to be back in the new
Yes.
container, just as reverberated as normal. Although I don't know if these new mics are picking that up or not.
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day about specifically when did they become aware of video games criticism? Because that really coloured what kind of media they really enjoyed up until that point and what media they actively hated.
Yeah.
Like one of my favourite things to ask people when it comes to conversations about like internet history with YouTube and games and stuff like that is, what game did you really, really love until you were told it was shit?
Oh, fuck, that's a great question.
Because I don't know about you guys, but like we didn't have the internet immediately, right? And so when the internet and YouTube sort of took off, and then it was just like, oh yeah, we can like look at what people think of games, and it's like, oh, people don't like Skyrim for some reason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, guilty as charged, I suppose. Although my feelings on that came a little bit more naturally. I didn't need an outside influence on that. But I remember as a child, the first ever nostalgia critic video I ever watched was his one on The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
I see.
Which is a cartoon. It was one of the first Sonic cartoons. that was the one I grew up watching. It's very zany, it's very Looney Tunes, and I loved it as a kid, and I think even to this day, that's still my favorite Robotnik incarnation of any.
Promotions? What for?
Yeah, the one that got YouTube pooped to the hell and back.
Snooping as usual, I see.
Yeah, but holy shit. Something fell over.
Stop knocking over crates.
That was the ghosts of YouTube Poops Pass.
God.
The chicken and winnigish.
The YouTube poop demon.
But then I watched this nostalgia critic video, and he said, like, this is garbage. It's a terrible cartoon because nothing happens and it's all just screaming and running around and nothing makes any sense. Forgetting that might have just been a character that was deliberately over the top, but I was too young to know. So I just assumed, I was like, oh no, this cartoon's actually really bad. Oh.
Sad.
So that was one. But like, nowadays I've gone, wait a minute. I can like whatever I want. Fuck everyone. Like,
Fuck everyone else.
Fuck those motherfuckers.
I guess people kind of had that with Sonic 06 is another big one where like loads of people played that when it came out and were like, oh yeah, it's a Sonic game on my Xbox, and then they watch YouTube videos and everyone says Sonic 06 is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, and then the veil lifts from their eyes and they go, oh god, they were right.
Yeah, no, well that's one of those cases where the consensus was probably correct there.
The one that always gets me, and it's one that like gets me very anxious, I guess. I've always been Call of Duty shit. It's really over the top. Because I wasn't an Xbox 360 kid. I didn't have like online consoles until way later. Like the first online multiplayer I played was Red Alert 2 on like a modem. And that was like the extent to my like, actually, Quake 3 as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't really ever get into the multiplayer like gaming scene when everyone else was like, I'm gonna go on Xbox Live and shout slurs you've never even heard before. And then Infinite Warfare came out. And I was like, oh, this actually looks like my kind of shtick. I kind of like space combat and all this kind of stuff. So I bought it, and I played it, and I was like, this is actually really fucking good. And then the reviews came out, they were like, it's shit, Battlefield 1 is better, why are you buying this game? And my fucking internals just went, are they right? Are you actually really bad at telling what games are good? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't like Splinter Cell Conviction. Am I a bad person?
I love the idea that your morality was in question by that.
My taste in games is wrong. Am I bad?
I mean, people, especially in the online space I ended up going into, used to fucking hate Halo.
Oh, yeah.
And Halo was my shit. You know, it used to be my shit when it was, back when it was being made by the Bungies. But obviously that was because it was mostly PC gamers who were like, Halo's way too slow, it ruined FPS gaming because it changed all these things about it. And I don't blame them to some degree, because it's like, yeah, okay, it would be cool if more games had more than a 2-weapon system and like that sort of thing, but that's just going to be the generations, right? Like, I've got my camp I'm happy to sit in, but hey, I'm still happy to look back on like old Doom and Quake and be like, fuck yeah, this is still fun. These games are rad.
I think we did like some Quake 2 play together at one point.
Yeah, we did a bit. Well, there was a website that you could play Unreal Tournament 3 on for free, I think.
No, it wasn't UT, it was Quake.
Oh, it was Quake 3,
it was Quake 3 Arena. Yeah. Someone had hosted the entire game through JavaScript, basically. So we would just play it in Uni, like, fuck it, I've got nothing else to do. Let's play some let's play some Quake. Fuck it.
Yeah, it was good fun. What about yourself, Angles? Are there any games where the internet told you that you were wrong?
Told me that I was wrong? Almost definitely. I think probably Fallout 3. Because I enjoyed that until everyone said, oh, it looks awful. And then I looked at it, I was like, oh, they're right. Like, the level of blindness I had. Well, like I said earlier, we are like one of the last of the generations of people who weren't born just with internet. Inherently. It wasn't a given.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful thing when it entered your house the first time.
Yeah. And it was like a weird... It started as a weird niche thing for like everyone to have, and then it became a competitive thing, and you would go around to whoever's house had the console and or the internet.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think when my family first got it, dial-up was still a thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, technically dial-up is still a thing now.
True, but like
no one's using it.
So like I spent the majority of my time playing offline 360 secondhand and like PlayStation 2 games for like the majority of my childhood, and then I think it must have been like when I was like 14 or 15. That's when like consistent internet access was obtained. And then I thought, hang on a minute, games are cool, but I can watch people talk about games. That's cool too. And then it's like Fallout 3 is the worst thing ever. And it's like, oh yeah, okay. There were a lot of other games that were just like, like Skyrim is another one where it's had that zeitgeist thing of Skyrim is the best game ever, then Skyrim isn't as good as you think, and then Skyrim isn't as bad as you think.
Yeah.
That now YouTube video essay pipeline of how games criticism seems to be a little
all
bit.
3 videos are made by the same guy.
Probably, yeah. With like about 6 months between them.
I mean, every YouTuber ends up kind of going into a niche one way or the other. I mean, mine is currently talking about a game that came out 20 years ago. But yeah.
Fucking dies of old age.
But it does make me think of Skyrim YouTubers who did loads of top 10s and mod coverage and that kind of thing, and they were doing super good for about 3 years. And obviously the steady re-releases were ensuring they stayed relevant. But as time went on, they probably would have to keep making videos like that where they go from being like, yeah, this game rocks, here's everything about it as possible, before going, guys, it's been 6 years since Skyrim came out, and we're due another Elder Scrolls game if we follow the recent trends of Elder Scrolls releases. Maybe we've been looking at Skyrim with rose-tinted glasses, you know? And then you wait another 5 years and they go, so we're due another Elder Scrolls game any year now.
Yeah.
But maybe Skyrim was better than we gave it credit for. I've been replaying Morrowind and it looks like Dookie. Whereas Skyrim, now that it's on its 5th re-release, now looks fine.
Slightly less like Dookie.
Yeah, I can't hate on people for like trying to get on their YouTube grind, right? Trying to get that sort of as like there are 2 people in this room who do that, and that's great. And like I'm not gonna. I mean, you talked about revisiting stuff.
Oh no, rip us a new one. Come on.
No. Well, we were talking about revisiting like content. Well, that's what you've been doing recently with your like revisiting series.
Yeah.
On games, and they're great. I really enjoy that sort of like an updated take on that stuff. And I think that's really interesting. But you bringing up Skyrim YouTubers, it makes me think of any sort of like YouTuber that has come out because of a game that they got big over this one thing. I love seeing what they try and do when that game loses traction, and seeing how they sort of like try and develop and what that leads their content into being. Sometimes it fails and it's sad, and then other times it changes what their content becomes, and it makes them a more solidified audience for stuff. Like when Monster Hunter World came out in a long time ago,
2018, I think.
Yes, it would have been something like that. There was a couple of channels that were just like, I'm going to dedicate my entire thing to this. And then, of course, when that game sort of became less popular and the other ones came out, like Monster Hunter Rise came out, there was a bit of a resurgence, but then, yeah, they still struggled to find it. And, like, a particular YouTuber who I really enjoy eventually was just like, fuck it, and just went into streaming and became a VTuber. And it's like, that's a really interesting sort of pipeline for that sort of come out. And they've got a decent enough audience that's, like, consistently, it's not huge, but, you know, it has allowed them to keep making content. And I find that really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, quite a few people have done that kind of thing, because like Zoran's gone and done it. He's pivoted entirely to VTubing, but
Technically also has Frederick.
Frederick Knudsen has as well. I mean, I think in Zoran's case, it was probably because he started out as a planet-side YouTuber.
Really?
And, and then he did a couple Warhammer videos. They did well, but obviously his main concern was, oh crap, I'm stuck in the Warhammer space now. So he went and did VTubing, and he's doing all right on that.
That's good.
Angles, what came out recently that you've been...
So when we were going to do the podcast, it's been a while since we've done it. We're like, oh, we've got to come up with things to talk about. We all live interesting lives, right? We'll definitely all come up with No, I've just been playing Monster Hunter Wilds, and it has consumed my entire life. That is it.
It's okay. It's okay, I've just been playing Minecraft.
You've just been playing Minecraft. Yeah, okay. No, it's good. I enjoy it. It is, speaking of what we were talking about earlier, I thoroughly predict by the time this has come out, it'll be in its arc where people say it's not as good as you think. That's where it will be on the video essay timeline.
Yeah, because that's been getting quicker and quicker, hasn't it? Because
yes, it has.
It was like that with Helldivers a little bit.
Yeah.
Where Helldivers was super hot for the first 2 months it was kind of out, and then obviously controversy after controversy kept happening with it.
Yeah.
And it would just keep ricocheting up and down. Where
Well,
people would
at least with controversies, there's something to talk about, right? Well, as opposed to a game that is going to come out and have like minor updates until the summer, essentially, or it's going to be just kind of like, it's fine.
It's no KSP2, I'll give it that.
It's more egregious to me when the tonal whiplash of people's opinions to conform to zeitgeist specifically. Like, yeah, sure, if you don't like a game and you don't like a game, sure, make a video about it, do whatever the fuck. It's a case of like, if you're trying to ape a trend of disliking a thing because you want to be a contrarian, it's like, that's when I start to have a little bit of a like, okay, why are you doing this really?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I fully expect people to, once they have finished it and they haven't no-lifed it, like I did over the weekend it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully expect people to go, it's not as good as previous game that came out a while ago. But yeah, it's really, really good. I have been pestering everyone I know who cares about music to listen to the themes.
Yeah, you've given me a couple that have been awesome.
The music.
Yeah, the soundtrack for Wilds has some absolute bangers. And the same with all of the Monster Hunter games. But yeah, there's a couple in particular. Oh, they're very, very good. And I'm a big, big fan.
What platform?
PC. I'm playing on PC, but I have played it with a controller. Like I'm not a freak. I don't play
No. Wasn't the PC version like wicked buggy?
So this is the thing. I have a PC. The PC that I bought in 2018, and it was top of the line in 2018. It cost a silly amount of money, but I thought, well, this is the only time I'm going to have a university one to waste.
Buying this one.
Yeah. So I was like, well, Alienware's a thing, and I don't know how PCs work, so I'll buy a pre-built Alienware.
Motherfucker, I lived in your house at that time. I would have built you a PC.
Yeah. So I bought this PC, and it has lasted. It is now on its last legs. Its hard drive is completely fried. Because some idiot played games on it for over a decade without an SSD. Don't know who that was. But literally, I when it was coming out and the beta test was a thing and the benchmark was a thing, it was like, oh, okay, great. Everyone could test it and see if their PCs could run it. So theoretically, they could try before they buy. I don't know how many people actually did that who then went on to complain. Because I ran it with a PC that is very, very old. Yes, it was top of the line a decade ago, but it still worked.
Ow!
What?
Psychic damage?
Yeah. 6 years ago, man. That's not a decade. That's half a decade. Don't do that to me.
Is it 6 years?
2018. Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah, that would be
2018.
6 going on 7.
Oh, yes, it would. Okay, yeah, cool.
Don't fucking harm me like that, man.
It's not 2030 yet. We're in 2025. This is the Black Ops 2 cyberpunk future, not the Black Ops 3 cyberpunk future.
Jesus.
Black Ops 3 is pretty good.
But yeah, like, I think a lot of the people who complain about the way it ran at launch were people who either didn't play the benchmark or have tried to run it on Steam Deck, because there's a lot of problems about it running on Steam Deck, which I think companies should be pretty honest with. Hey, our game can't work on Steam Deck. They should just say it, and they didn't. So I can understand people being
The
frustrated.
thing is, it has to come out before Valve could do an evaluation of it.
Right, okay. I thought, okay.
So they can't evaluate it on a pre-release build in case, like, post-release they make it really inefficient.
Yeah. So as far as I'm aware, everyone I know who's played it has not had the issues, but people who've had the issues, that feels bad. These games are, especially like when World came out as well, that was pretty poorly optimized when it first came out. It now is much, much better. But yeah, playing on PC, it's been totally fine. It's remarkable how that unfortunately has overshadowed a lot of the majority, what I believe from what I've seen is the majority of people's experience, which is, I think I've played 70 hours currently.
Wow.
Yeah, I played it a lot.
It's been less than a week,
It's
hasn't
been
it?
less than a week, yeah. Oh, it's been a week as of today.
Okay.
Well, as of yesterday, sorry. I experienced two minor visual bugs throughout the entire playthrough. And it is really depressing how that should be an achievement, but because people are so used to things releasing as broken pieces of trash, they are more concerned about the potential lack of content.
Hmm.
They would have rather it have been much bigger, but not worked, rather than it working almost perfectly, with the exception of some people who don't have the hardware to run it and the poor optimization on their part. But it's a little bit sad that is kind of the expectation that people would prefer a Starfield to not Morrowind.
No one's
No, yeah, Starfield was a bad. Starfield was a bad.
It was the most
bad
recent
example.
Bethesda game you could think of in your mind.
Yeah,
The funny thing is, just a tangent onto Starfield.
yeah.
The investors are fucking furious.
I bet. I honestly,
No
I
one
would be.
bought any of its DLC, and it's just like, uh-oh.
Well, yeah, it was exclusive to a platform that is losing the console race, and it is a
On PC.
very well, yeah, it's on PC too, but
Wait, has it DLC came out for Star, I almost said Star Citizen then.
Yeah.
That was a Freudian
several
slip.
DLCs have come out. Have you not heard about them?
No, I have not heard
Because
about
they
it.
fucking suck.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was gonna say Elden Ring can be nominated for Game of the Year twice by having a DLC come out, but it seems like Starfield can't even
Get it once.
scratch the public consciousness. Although, viewer, the internet appears to be catered to what you want to see now. So
Yeah.
you might have seen these things and we just haven't.
Remember, I forget who said it, but there's a very important phrase that I live by now, which is mind your feed your mind.
Oh my god.
Turn off your fucking algorithm.
Fucking
Go
hell.
ask Jeeves to find stuff, because it doesn't fucking try and deliver you specific shit.
Yeah.
I love the idea that anyone who is actively paying attention, because I imagine this podcast is second monitor
Oh,
core.
absolutely.
Like, that's
Oh,
what it is, right?
boy.
The listener is either playing a game, making dinner, or shitting right now.
Yeah, great. Like,
Possibly all three.
possibly all three.
I'll put those on the Spotify poll that you can do.
Yeah, I love the idea that there is someone who is sitting here and has been actively listening and is trying to figure out how old we are based on the things we have said so far.
Well-
and and Dr. White saying that anecdote of mind your feed your mind has just aged you by about. Everyone's just gone. They've added a decade. They've just added a decade onto you.
Okay, let me see if I can damage this. I had to install Windows 2000 with floppy disks. I bought a GameCube and played it as a childhood favorite. Good luck finding out how old I am.
I mean, we're also talking about dial-up internet and all that kind of shit. Like,
Skibbity toilet.
yeah.
Oh, fuck the activation.
If we want to be, relevant and all that kind of stuff, Thunder, when are you gonna debut your VTuber avatar and start doing YouTube shorts?
Look,
Have we already, technically? We have avatars for our videos.
yes, that's true.
So isn't that just off-air VTubing?
I mean, people
No, we are not gonna turn podcasts
Off-air
into
VTubing.
off-air VTubing.
If you've got a fucking little avatar, you animate around doing stuff for your shows and whatnot.
God.
We both do that. You can't get away from
No,
that.
no, I know.
We both have a little guy that we're like, yeah, look at these doing little things. That would make him
Thunder.
smack himself on the head with a hammer or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just VTubing but without an audience.
My life is VTubing without an audience. What the fuck? Well, no, this is the thing. You are, Thunder is dangerously close to PNG tubing.
No, that's true.
Dangerously close.
But,
and I'm all here for
I was
it.
tempted to actually
The thing-
buy a whole sprite set off of Sophie for that, actually, just for the shits and giggles of having it on his profile.
Well, that's the thing, because if there wasn't a stigma behind it, because there appears to be a stigma behind VTubing and especially PNG tubing for some reason, or at least there used to be a stigma, I don't know.
It was so much cheaper.
Yeah, I probably would actually consider it for if I'm streaming, because I think, I can put a little space in the corner to have the cat move around. I'd happily do that. I think it would be fun, but I feel like especially the audience I've cultivated would be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Maybe they'll find it funny.
I mean, maybe they'll find it funny, who knows?
Okay, well, what you need to do is open a Patreon subscriber goal of get me a big yiddied VTuber avatar.
Fuck's sake.
And see how much interest it gets, and that will determine whether or not you should do it. Because this is the thing.
$200. Rule 60 free funder coming for you.
Oh, God.
All I will say is that through me, someone who is an incredibly competent 3D modeler for a games company, and someone who also animates and rigs them, and has made multiple VTuber rigs.
Oh.
As I have said in chat a couple of times in your streams, it could happen. You could have the supreme cat with a big pair of milkers in the bottom corner of all of your streams.
Okay, I hate that second you said that, all I was picturing was the Supreme Cat 3D model and like literally 2 jugs of milk in front of them.
Yeah.
like 2-gallon jugs in front of them.
And he looks so happy.
Just that fucking
Yes!
cat face.
Yes. Okay, that's the clickbait poll.
Yeah.
Don't like. I'm not
Well,
repeating
the best part about this is because we've announced it on the podcast, no one's going to know when you post the poll.
No one's gonna know if it ever happened.
Yeah.
Because who the fuck watches this?
They'll see it and just be like, oh yeah, milkers, and they'll go for that.
I'll tell you who listens to this. You, the chosen elites, the real ones who listen to this, who know this stuff.
Do I have to fight them so I can get my Pokemon Master?
I thought you were going to do a Halo meme, and I was like, no, yeah.
Chosen elite.
Anyone who listens to the podcast is Thunder's favorite. Like, we have determined that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, that's probably true, actually.
I'm pretty funny as well.
Yeah, no.
No, your favorite's the one who pay your rent, right? In the new container.
Oh no, true. Yeah. Speaking of which, this video is sponsored by this
Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, this scratching of the word Raid Shadow Legends on the wall.
Yeah.
The
Don't
previous
forget-
Denizen posted it there, so
Yeah.
we have to like shuffle their bones out the tiny actual now.
This is where all the bones of deceased YouTube channels go. Not the people who made them, the channels themselves.
Oh my god.
I'm just picturing like a lightning strike somewhere in the container that lights up the wall, and it's just like one of those pinboards. Just for a second, you just see like Raid Shadow Legends and like a line coming off of its like, what was it? Guaranteed Deeds or whatever it was, the one that like made you a
Oh,
board.
yeah.
Just this massive pinboard of all of these like fucking YouTube scams. Like, my god, they were onto it.
Anyway, this episode is sponsored by Honey.
It's the voice of God, I'm coming for you.
Again, we need to try and get some sponsors just because it would be so funny to try and get anyone to sponsor this useless garbage.
I would hands down be like, let's do a Bad Dragon sponsor. It'll be
No, I
fucking
think it
hilarious.
would be fucking fantastic.
I don't think like other like suitably inappropriate ones that would also be good. But like,
I
yeah.
can't even off my head without like showing my power level. So
Oh, I see. Yes, okay. And we need to obscure your power level as much as possible.
I mean, there's some that I wouldn't mind getting a sponsorship for, but just wouldn't be relevant at all to my channel.
No.
Like the mattress company one that's been going around recently.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love a free mattress. I don't know where I'd put my current one, but I'd take a sponsorship for that. I don't know why someone would go and watch like a cat talk about Dawn of War and then go, he seems like a guy who knows how to sleep.
Well, I'm thinking like you could get some sort of cat food brand to sponsor you. Or like
That okay, actually, that would be awesome.
a cat
That'd be
food
really
brand, like you wouldn't get a charity, like a shelter charity, to sponsor you, right? Because you could shout out for like a rescue shelter for cats, but also that'd be a bit, I don't know, they might not be huge fans of that. I'm thinking of like companies that do not fucking care what they put there, like Raid, where they're just like, X number of people watch this, slap the sticker on, let's go.
That's the suspicion I have with like War Thunder and World of Tanks as well. Maybe if I do delay this episode long enough that I can legally talk about all of the sponsorships I've done so far, because it's always like after about a year to talk about them.
I don't hate anyone. Again, when we were talking about like YouTube brand, I don't hate on anyone who puts sponsors in their videos. I think it's like you fucking need to do it. If you're at that point in your YouTube career where you're making some money but not enough to do anything with in terms of like a permanency basis, then both Patreon and sponsorships make a lot of sense. I mean, if you're a huge fucking YouTuber who is making enough on Patreon, doing all that kind of stuff, and you're just doing it for like extra money, I mean, I'm gonna skip it. I'm gonna skip the ad in your vid.
Yeah.
But I put it in there. Who cares?
I don't blame anyone for doing it, but at the same time, it makes me worried that that's just going to stop any company from doing these kinds of sponsorships. I will say that like a big reason I take sponsorships at all is because, to put it simply, Patreon pays my bills, sponsorships pay my rent. And I can't go off of ad revenue by itself because ad revenue just wildly fluctuates and it's not stable enough to do like an actual living off YouTube.
Yeah. The economics of like actual YouTube careering is something that like is talked about in some very unhelpful ways, and like, because it's so difficult to say, oh, this is the standard. This is how every mid-tier niche celebrity has it, or this is how all the big ones, they all earn the same amount. It's like, no, they fucking don't. They all earn different amounts. They all earn it from different fucking sources. They all use different... Although everything goes in the same algorithm, they're manipulating the algorithm in their own ways to then get popular. Like, it's all...
Yeah.
Obviously,
the obvious solution is fun to just make more videos. And I'm like, I'd really love it if it was that easy. But that always runs the risk. If I make exactly what I want and I make loads and loads and loads of it, it will probably do more damage to the channel than if I just make the stuff that I know people have asked for. So it's like one of those things of YouTube is always a risk.
Yeah. Well, what Thunder's basically saying is YouTube is harder than your 9 to 5, and you're not giving him enough money.
Oh no! Fuck that one streamer that said that.
What do you mean one streamer? Like, so many people say that shit.
Okay, true. I find 9 to 5 significantly harder than this, and I have respect for anyone who's been able to stick at a job like that, even if they do not like it and they're actively trying to get out of it. Like, mad props to you for going that far and to stay with it.
Yeah,
because I couldn't last doing that for a long time. And
because we've done it.
Yeah,
like we've done it at times in our life. Yeah, and it sucks.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a good time. Dr. White has been absorbed by the darkness.
Very briefly, yeah. I'm not sure where they're going with it. I don't know.
Well, maybe we could start scheming to see if we can take over his YouTube channel. So what I'm thinking
we could, yeah.
We could potentially...
Oh, rip ass!
Oh, look, it's Dr. White. I hope that got picked up on the...
Yeah, probably did.
Yeah, okay.
The crate reverb.
The crate verb.
The crate verb is unfortunately just going to be his existent thing.
I suppose we could talk a little bit more about what we've recently been playing. Obviously, Angles, you've talked about Wilds.
Yeah, before
having a good time.
Yeah, before I turn it into a...
Have you got new shades?
Oh, God. Is it the early 2000s again?
Yeah, White's gone full Y2K core.
That really is. Why the fuck do you have those?
Oh, I picked them up at the market because I thought they were funny.
Yeah, that checks out.
The guy from fucking the song everyone said, oh, what's the song? Oh, it's blank.
Darude
Sandstorm.
Darude Sandstorm. There we go.
Like the guy from that.
Right,
or
you can now add early onset dementia to the bingo sheet that determines how old we might be.
Whoever manages to get the exact age correct gets a restraining order. I don't like.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah, you're earning yourself a dox at this point.
Yeah,
no. We are baiting it far too much.
My coordinates are negative 34.479. Anyway, so.
You're the kind of person who probably knows your exact coordinates on Earth, and I can imagine you accidentally saying them.
Listen, that's what I'm always afraid of. This is why streaming scares the shit out of me.
Well, if you know our exact coordinates, why are you getting us out of the fucking container?
Because we keep moving.
Oh.
Yeah. Shit. Anyway, so we've recently updated. We're now somewhere between... Oh, holy shit, is that Thailand?
I wish. I'd love to go to Thailand. That'd be great.
Sorry to interrupt your cool holiday.
Oh no, please put us back into being a gaming podcast.
No, I actually want to talk about cats.
Oh, please make us a cat podcast.
So cats are fucking weird in terms of we never directly domesticated them in the way we did dogs. Like, obviously most animals that get domesticated tend to approach people because they're either docile or they see some sort of benefit in collaborating with humans. For example, fucking bees. Bees domesticated themselves. They can leave a hive whenever they want to.
Oh.
They can just get up and, fuck off out of an apiary. So they are there because they're I like being here.
I hate that as you said that, I'm just imagining that Kanye West tweet.
Which one?
The slavery is a choice one.
Oh,
Bees domesticated themselves.
They did. They don't leave. They'll just straight up leave if not cared for. So they're just if we're in this weird box, we lose some of our honey every so often, but a big, giant, godlike figure shows up and gives us cool food and keeps pests out, so that's cool.
No, I mean that has been a Tumblr post I've been really enjoying, which is Lovecraftian protagonists are pussies. My dog interacts with 3 things beyond its comprehension every day, and it's fine.
Yes.
And the response to it is, well, of course it does, because the Yellow King is feeding it and giving it walks every day.
Yeah.
It'd feel a lot better about fucking Cthulhu being around it, wouldn't it?
Why do you think there's so many cultists for Cthulhu? Because it's it's just being nice to them. It's
Does
here, have some
Cthulhu
fish.
give people walkies?
No, I get some fish from him correctly.
Oh, alright.
The thing I have to say about cats is there's
Speaking of Lovecraft,
Speaking of Lovecraft,
God.
apparently now I'm not entirely sure how true this is, but there's some connection between basically a brain parasite the cats carry that they're supposed to give to mice.
Oh, toxoplasmosis.
Toxoplasmosis, yeah. They leave it in like their dandruff or whatever and all that, and the saliva, and mice get it, and it turns off their fear of cats. So then they're like, oh, it's a big fluffy thing, I'm going to approach it. And then the cat eats the mouse, and then the toxoplasmosis is unable to continue its life cycle because it has to like do something with a dead mouse, I forget. It goes into a mouse and has to like mature in a cat and then repeat the process. Apparently, like, they found evidence that it's active in human brains, but we have no idea what the fuck it does to human brains. And I like to believe, like, for hundreds of years, we've just been like, I fucking love these little fluffy things. And they're just like, evolution has given me an ally. A fucking brain bug has given me an ally in the gods.
Oh my word, that's a food for thought.
I mean, the power of the common cold, I have slayed the god.
I mean, it makes me think of how manatees and capybaras also just don't have like that predator response in them.
Because capybaras are so fucking big, they're really hard to hunt.
Surely they'd be really easy to hunt.
No, they're just too big.
What? Yeah. Doesn't make sense.
They're too big.
Yeah, that's why elephants don't get poached.
We hunted mammoths into extinction. We've hunted a lot of creatures into
it's too big.
extinction. What do you fuck?
Too big.
So if we scaled a guinea pig up to be the size of like a small dog, then fuck, it's too big, can't do it.
Thunder. Capybaras are just dire guinea pigs.
Yeah, they are.
So, yeah.
Thunder, could you 1v1 a capybara?
Wait, what kind of question is this? According to Dr.
Yes or
White,
no question.
according to Dr. White, no. According to me and my brain, yes.
Right, so you think you could kill a capybara with your bare hands?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I
alright.
couldn't. It's just too big.
Just too big. Do you think you could kill a manatee?
Oh.
Depends, is it in or out of the water?
What's in the water?
Oh, then no. No way.
Manatee? No. Dugong, maybe. I could fist fight a dugong.
They're not mermaids. They're dugongs. I just don't think I could bring myself to hurt a manatee. That would... I'd be demoralized.
It's one of those really nice, reassuring things to hear people you know go, you know what, I don't think I could beat an animal to death with my bare hands, you know? I think, honestly, you know, I've surrounded myself with good enough people where they go, you know what, I really don't want to punch anything that whines in pain, you know? Like, it's a real good litmus test of, do you know any psychopaths? You know?
Apparently there was like a dating like survey which was like, do you think you could win in a fight against like a tiger or whatever?
Oh, I fucking no,
And
yeah.
It's just like the people who say yes are usually like completely insecure or sociopaths.
There was that, yeah. There was the one that was done in America. I can't remember what the premise was for it. If it was a dating one, that makes that makes sense why it was answered so ridiculously. But it was like, I can't remember the exact numbers of it, but it was like 40% of Americans think they could 1v1 like a bear or something stupid.
Oh,
like it was
stupid.
God.
It's because they're imagining themselves with
What?
a hatchet and a gun.
I
right?
have to look at the stats of this because they are
Oracle, grant us these
insane. They are insane. These ones.
The Minecraft brain rot set in. It's you know, people think they can punch bears to death.
Yeah.
Okay, the idea of being able to punch a bear to death gives me the exact same vibes of can you cook a steak by slapping it?
Yes.
Because eventually you can, yeah, right? Because like the heat transfer and all that kind of shit. But no, you can't at the
Are we
same
going
time.
for duration of slapping or a single slap? If you were going to go for a single slap, the speed you'd have to be moving your hand at would vaporize everything in the room.
Yeah, I mean, it would destroy you, right? I'm imagining you have to slap a steak an amount of times to cook it.
Oh.
You could get someone working on that.
There's a YouTube video about it where it's just like they tested it, like how many times did you have to slap a steak to cook it?
The fucked thing is I immediately imagined like someone building a contraption that's like a bunch of leather gloves on like a wheel
Yeah.
with like the steak beneath it, and they just spin a motor that spins the leather gloves. And they just like...
Yeah, pretty much that's what they did. Like
That's
I'm pretty sure if you look it up, that's
Speaking of YouTube shit, while you're looking that up, I've been following the wild world of YouTube gunsmiths lately.
oh god.
I thought you've always been on that, grind.
Yeah, I mean, real world gunsmithing, yeah. I've always had a real, like, fascination with, like, the machinery behind how these things work. Browning was a fucking madman, all this kind of wonderful stuff. But recently there's been two YouTubers that keep showing up on my feed, and one is a guy who, like, 3D prints, like, 40mm aerosol cannons. And it's like, this man is just building like fucking small artillery pieces that use like butane as a propulsion fuel. And it's kind of terrifying. And the other one is some guy who's like in the hood making a fucking plasma gun. And he looks like the most like Viper tier rapper imaginable.
I might have seen a video of this.
And then he just pulled out the fucking contraption. It looks like a fucking like Glock stuck with like a couple of like aerosol cans and shit. And then he holds it out to a thing, and just this massive plume of fire just poof out the front of it.
I think I might have seen that with some like Warhammer 40k Mechanicus music.
I was about to say, like, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure you just watched like leaked Darktide footage. Just like, I need to correct the record. It was I was completely off, but 6% of American men in the survey believe that they could 1v1 a bear.
Right, because that
Unarmed. This is specified as unarmed.
that to me makes a little bit more sense, because as easy it is to be like, "Way clown on Americans, they all think they can do everything." I think it's more likely someone in the UK could think they would fight a bear, because people in America might live in North Dakota or somewhere.
They know what that is.
Yeah, they know a grizzly bear is a real threat that they are prepared for. A chimpanzee is usually when people get stupid.
Okay, chimpanzee is 17%. Unarmed, 17% of people in the survey thought they could fight, like, to defeat a chimpanzee in a 1v1.
Have you seen that German statue with that guy kicking little babies?
No, Dr. White, I haven't seen that.
Okay, so it's either German or Polish, but there's a statue of like a guy. It's somewhere.
Please, no one fact check this.
No, please do. There's a statue of this guy, and he's like stretching his arms out, like, "Arr!" And there's like a bunch of babies like wrapped around his limbs, like he's just batting these kids away.
That's been
Fun to please look this up and put it on the screen at this point.
There's been a lot of good candidates for what to call today's episode.
I'm thinking like I could probably fight a chimpanzee like that. It would be a very rough fight, and I might lose an eye.
Oh, you'd die.
I think I could survive a chimpanzee.
Nah, chimpanzee.
Larger than a
fuck
chimpanzee,
you
I'd be fucked.
up.
But a chimpanzee, I think I could win.
No, chimpanzee would fuck you right up. I like.
Oh, I found it. It's in Oslo.
Okay, so neither of
None
the
of the
countries.
countries I
No.
mentioned.
What also gets me about this survey is that 8% of people who answer the survey think they could 1v1 an elephant.
No!
No.
Unarmed.
Are you
Holy shit, are you mad?
I get... What the
12% think they could 1v1 a wolf. Unarmed.
Okay, that one's a little bit easier to imagine.
Yeah.
But imagine is about as far as you can go with that.
Yeah, whereas the elephant, what all I can think of is just like, I guess if you just try and punch its eyes out, I don't know what...
Why are we discussing this? This is horrifying.
Well, yeah, it
look,
is.
I brought up Monster Hunter. There are only two ways the podcast can go from that. Monster hunting and beating the shit out of, or monster fucking. And it's which one of the two do you want the podcast to be about?
Okay, so what's the hottest monster in Monster Hunter Wild so far?
This is a very... So I've seen all of them at this point. Right? The tier list is in shambles right now.
Oh.
So full worlds, much easier tier list to make. But unfortunately, a lot of the monsters that are in Monster Hunter Wilds have a lot of weird features that make them difficult to fuck. In terms of the hottest ones, I mean, you know, you've got to... How much do you consider the monsters fight, like the actual fight you have with them, to be the thing that attracts you to them? Right?
I'm not someone who thinks about what Monster Hunter monster I want to fuck, so I don't know.
Right, okay, let's pull this back a little bit, right? Dark Souls, Bloodborne, the more human... Well, okay, some of them aren't very humanoid, but like, when you are thinking about waifu tiers on all of the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro stuff, like, do you consider their fight as part of the reason you are dating them?
Well, okay, this could be a long rabbit hole of psychology about why people are attracted to certain characters anyway, but...
Do you include snake people from Elden Ring?
Well, there's snake people in Dark Souls 1 as well.
Snake people, yeah.
I specifically mean the Elden Ring ones.
Oh, okay, well, turn to Angles, he's actually played it.
Which are the snake? Where are they?
The little snake guys.
The little snake? Oh, my brain.
They're like snake people. They walk around. One connects to be one.
Oh. I'm drawing a complete blank.
Wow. I haven't even played that game.
Yeah, I'm drawing a complete blank on snake people in Elden Ring. They definitely do exist.
Grant me this.
Because I used...
Open up E621.
I used the Serpent God's sword for the majority of, like, the playthrough in that area. Snake people. Oh, those snake... Oh, like, I can't believe I forgot those people. Yeah, Mambo.
Oh, yeah.
The point being is, like, okay, let's put it back into a game of your expertise, Thunder.
Right.
That's name has now just fucking vacated.
Fire Emblem?
That's the one, Fire Emblem.
How much does the fight kind of like take into consideration of it? In the case of Fire Emblem,
Yeah.
basically not at all. It's more story relevance, personality. Like, personality is always the biggest one, and then looks, and then any kind of gameplay attachment.
XCOM 2 Viper.
Oh, would. Like,
So the thing is, the reason
Complete lack of voice festival. You did not hesitate at all.
that's been...
I imagine the second you say that, it's just that one image of a cat talking into the microphone. Would. In answer to your question, probably Gormagala.
Alright.
If you're just talking about the ones that have come out for Wilds, I'm going to answer ashamedly Uthduna. Or Jinderhard. Jinderhard is less of a shame thing.
Okay.
But Uthduna is, because Uthduna is a whale.
I'm gonna put them on screen for anyone watching the YouTube version of this. If you're on Spotify, then you're just gonna have to imagine them.
Do you find that kind of weird, though? Like, people talking about, like, fuckable video game characters, and people, like... I don't mean, like, in the way that it is not their whole personality, right? Like, we're not talking about people who just, like...
Yeah, people
they
who-
have the body pillar or whatever. We're talking about just, like...
This is the thing I've had to think about recently.
Yeah.
Because there will be, in the future, an upcoming episode of The List Goes On, which is about Fire Emblem Fates. And one thing that I really don't like about Fire Emblem Fates is how heavily they lay on the waifu angle.
Right.
Like, since Awakening, there has been an option to pair up your avatar character with other characters in the game, and they realized how big of a thing that was. So it feels like a lot of the character designs in Fates are, like, tailor-made to really latch onto it. And it worked, because loads of people are really into those characters. I think they go too far of it in Fates, and it's like one of those things of, like, it's distracting. It's distracting from the entire story that literally every character that rides a horse has arseless chaps.
See, to me, that is what put me off Baldur's Gate when it came out.
Really?
Was that initial, because I knew it was a bug, but, like, the overtuned romance options for everything.
The fucking auto-fucking Gale problem.
But there was a lot of, like...
you're fucking Gale then? Yeah, I guess.
like, I've heard nothing but praise for Baldur's Gate. And I will eventually play it, but what initially put me off is I love talking about all these stupid things like, oh, you know, which monster would you fuck, you know, all that kind of stuff. But, like, when it comes to an actual serious romance options in games, I avoid them like the fucking plague. I don't know why. Like, even the ones in Witcher 3, which, again, now that I know more about the author, I'm even less comfortable about.
Oh.
But, like, he hasn't done anything particularly weird. It's just very clear that Geralt is a self-insert.
Right.
It's his fanfic, and it's a bit like, oh, okay. But playing Witcher 3, the romances are better in that. But as soon as this was like, and then they fuck, I'm like, I don't want, no. I'm one of those people who cringes at it when they see it in the cinema. Like,
I always find it in TV shows as well, when they put like, it's like, great, cool, I wasn't here for softcore, I was here to watch, like, I don't know, robots fight each other.
Yeah.
Fast forward 10 seconds.
Whatever nuance that makes these kinds of things work, I just don't think works in, like, mainstream media, because it's trying to target too broad of a
unless it's integral to the story. So Nosferatu came out. There are elements in that that are integral. That's the point of the horror.
Yeah.
It's part of it's the surprising thing on it. If you say bones on it, I'm going to shit myself.
I was like, I'm Dracula, I'm 8 million years old.
Fucking, yeah.
I was flipping bricks Montezuma when you were still a Type 1 civilization.
Nosferatu flow. It's part of the horror and the uncomfortable nature of that film, right? So it has a place there.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm trying to think of, like, other, like, egregious. They were just like generic films that have egregious nudity or egregious sex scenes. You're just like, this doesn't add anything. And okay, hey guys, add this to the bingo. Huh?
Who plays Nosferatu? I forgot his name.
It's one of the Skarsgårds.
Bill Skarsgård, I think.
Oh, no. He was in Nosferatu, and he was also in the Lighthouse.
Willem
Dafoe. I just love the fact that, like, two of his most recent roles is that, and, like, some guy, like, busting a nut in black and white, and it's just like, what the fuck, Willem Dafoe?
It's just because the way you said it, it sounded like you're like, who played Nosferatu? That guy from The Lighthouse. Willem Dafoe
Did not play Nosferatu.
I'm imagining someone watching that film and being like, holy shit, Nosferatu can survive in the daylight. Look at him go.
That's not daylight. That whole film's in black and white.
Because, okay, to be fair...
So that funny Dune planet.
To be fair, when I watched that, I was a dumbass. Because I thought he was going to look like he did in the 1922 like Matt
Right.
Shrek version.
Yeah, the
So-
really anti-Semitic style. That
So
you know.
I spent most of the film being like, when is the actual
Oh,
Nosferatu going to turn
God.
up? This guy's a vampire, but that's not him, is it?
Yeah, he just
He's
looks-
not even called Nosferatu.
He just looks like some
And
sort of fucking.
It took until the third act for me to be like, oh, I'm stupid.
This is some sort of like Middle Russian,
Yeah.
like Tsar character.
Yeah, he's a good fit, good character design, good movie for the record. Best movie I've seen all year. The only movie I've seen all year. But still, God, So to answer your question about Fire Emblem,
Yeah, fuckable Fire Emblem
Uh,
characters.
sorry, I feel like I need to finish this point because people get a little bit odd about like the video game and media sexualization
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So I kind of want to at least bat for the other side and at least say like, okay, look,
You're a freak, Angles. Get out.
no, I'm gonna say, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. You find the big titty waifu attractive.
yeah.
We're on the same page.
Yeah.
So do I.
Yeah.
I understand. But what do you want this game to be?
Yeah.
That's my question. It's like the thing of you saying earlier, White, about like, I didn't come to this movie to watch softcore. It's like, yeah, I didn't come to Fire Emblem to also watch softcore.
Yeah.
I came to it for a tactics game and like, you're now being like, which of the Milkies do you want?
Oh,
And
we
I'm
are
like, I
so
don't know, really.
old.
Okay, the really fucked thing is, I played Cyberpunk recently, and simply because it was just faster to get back to the gameplay, I turned on Twitch mode whenever it had like a sex scene.
Okay.
Because I was like, I want like the narrative element of this scene, but I want to just skip straight through it. Because you can't skip them.
Oh, can you not?
No, you
Really?
can't. Once the sex scene starts, it's like a full cutscene. You can't like skip it.
Oh.
So it's just like, great, I'll just turn on Twitch mode. It just copies across to the end of it.
Was that the case for Mass Effect as well, I wonder?
I think Mass Effect was like internet being really antsy about it. I think it actually might have been. I think Mass Effect 3 might actually been the reason why they started having like, hey, please stop having this weird adult content on our streaming platform. Go back to Justin TV.
Woo!
No, speaking of like romanceable characters in games and things like that, I always find it more engaging when it's implied that a character has an interest in someone else, and it's more of a like developmental thing throughout this. Because me and Ash recently finished 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim.
A game that sounds impossible to describe by what
Holy
you have
shit,
been
it is
saying.
impossible. We spent 30 hours playing it, and I can barely explain any of it.
That sounds like a good game.
It's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, well, yeah.
If you like long-form visual novels that bend your fucking mind, interspersed with like Diet XCOM. Like real-time XCOM.
I'd buy that soda.
It's all right.
I'd drink Diet Soda.
The
Diet
only way
XCOM.
me and Ash got through it is by me doing the tactics mode, her doing the visual novel stuff, because I'm very easy to lose attention in its visual novel shit. I
Right,
skip
yeah.
the dialogue. Whereas she was like, no, we have to go through all these characters and all this stuff. All the main characters are naked constantly. When they're inside the giant robots, they have to be naked for some reason. I'm not going to explain why, because it spoils the plot.
Okay.
But they're all like butt naked, and we're like, oh, that's a cool, funny, narrative thing. And then right at the end, the first time we see a character like post the big end finale section, she is completely naked, and she's just like, I'm glad you woke up, protagonist kun. And protagonist kun is like, oh, because just things have happened. But they're just it's like, what the fuck is this ending? Why is she butt naked? You'd think they'd have clothes. What? Why? Why? And there's explanations for it, and yes, someone in the comments is going to be like, oh, it's because they just got out of... And I will find you and kill you, because I want to force fun to the face at some point. If you spoil this, like you tried to spoil Disco Elysium.
I have heard Mandalore once say that mechs are fursuits for robot lovers.
Oh yeah, that is fucking
and
spot.
what you've described, the 13 Sentinels, makes me think exactly that if they're naked while inside of the mech suits. But yeah, I mean,
Power armor is fursuit for robot fans.
Oh, jeez.
It is.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
That's true. I was gonna say, because you briefly mentioned Baldur's Gate, I
did, yeah.
This isn't a bad segue because I have actually recently been playing Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
How have you been finding it?
I've been enjoying it.
Okay.
It took me a little while to get a bit more into it, but it's been good fun. I mean, you talked about like the romancing side of things when it comes to that game. The thing is that I've gone with the approach of that game of recreating one of my D&D characters and making decisions based on what that D&D character would do.
Right.
Which meant that, which has been fun. I mean, I've got other friends who never do that because they don't think a game will ever let them get close to doing what their character would actually do. But like for me, I don't really mind. I'm happy to go with just the closest approximation. That's how I play Mass Effect. It's like, if I want to play as myself in Mass Effect, I just go with what's closest to what I would choose, which is why I don't like how Mass Effect 3 only gives you 2 options all the time. With Baldur's Gate, it was funny because the character I've rolled up for Baldur's Gate 3 is an absolute flirt and a complete tart, and yet even I feel some characters are way too easy. Like, way too easy to, like, have on board of being like, hey, you want to get it on, and I'm just like, this feels way too early in the game for this to be happening.
Well, you see, it's because all the wokes made that game, and
I'm going to strangle
and because of that. Now, the reason I'm interested in your take on it is because you are the guy who doesn't like generic D&D setting.
What do you mean I don't like generic D&D setting?
As in Baldur's Gate and Waterdeep.
I don't like the stock settings.
Yes,
no,
that's what I mean.
That's
like,
true.
How have you been finding the Forgotten Realms, essentially?
It's a grassy land of beaches and underdark and hills and forests. Yeah, there's goblins are doing the goblin thing. I'm fine to take this game as like, okay, we're doing the baseline thing for these species, because I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, it's given me some inspiration on like, you know, how to represent the Underdark. I like what they do with the Myconids in it, and I like what they do with hook horrors. It's got one of my favorite creatures in it, the hook horrors. They look completely different to the way they do in the book, which on the one hand, I'm like, okay, they look cooler. On the other hand, I'm like, I feel slightly less bad about being forced to kill them, because...
they look more spooky and scary now.
Yeah, well...
Do they have their own language still?
I don't think they do, because, okay,
sad.
Do
they count as a monster or an animal?
A monster, and
Damn, so
I
Speak of Animals
can't...
doesn't work.
Yeah, Speak of Animals... I'll tell you why Speak of Animals doesn't work at all. Because I cannot get anywhere close to them without triggering combat. Any other animal... You can talk to. You could just cast Speak of Animals. You can talk to. What I like about hook horrors... Yeah. What I like about hook horrors is the fact that they have a language of their own. They're smart enough to have an alignment. They're smart enough to have a language of their own. They're weird looking. They communicate in a unique way. And I'm like, holy shit, these things are like intelligent enough to have...
They
like,
have a fucking writing language as well.
Yeah, because they scratch stuff
they
into
scratch
the...
symbols onto the ground, and like other ones can run their claws across it to read it.
Yeah, and
it's
then,
like, these fuckers have invented a language strong enough to have a written form.
Yeah, they mark their territory with it, and I was like, oh, can I do something with this? Will I be allowed to do something? No, literally, as soon as you're anywhere within earshot of a hook horror, combat starts. I'm like, fuck off. Fuck you, how dare you. Loving the game otherwise.
So, for a little bit of flavour of context, in a D&D campaign that kind of ran, one of my characters ended up just chatting with a hook horror, because I had like comprehend languages and was just like, oh cool, my gut just like tapping a staff against the floor to respond to it. And it was a cool little conversation. It was a cute little interaction between a funny little lizard man and this like giant bird with hooks for hands.
Yeah. That's because I think they're a great creature for those kinds of encounters, and Baldur's Gate did not give in to the way I would make hook horrors. The reason why I was like not too fond of the default D&D settings isn't because I think they're inherently bad. It's because I just don't want to run them. I'd rather do my own thing. I'd rather do my own world. I'd rather do my own thing and get my friends to explore it. And that's what I like about playing it in other people's world games, is like seeing what kind of worlds they make.
Yeah.
But if I'm playing a video game, I'll accept that I'm in the dungeon master for that game is the programmers and devs of the game.
The story developers.
Yeah, so I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, fair enough. I wondered if there was anything that was like, that you just didn't like about it.
There's the cousin of D&D, Pathfinder, has a bunch of video games as well.
Yeah.
And Kingmaker has a similar mechanic where I'm actually surprised at how often it lets you do stuff like that. But also I really wish there were moments where I'd be like, oh, I could do something better than just getting into a fight here. I think it's Kingmaker. You can stop a war between kobolds and bugbears or something, some sort of weird creature. Or red caps, I think, actually.
Oh, wow, okay, that's weird.
It was like it's a weird fucking fight, and it's over like stolen religious icons that like neither of them really own the right to. I think they're involved in some... It doesn't matter. Point being is you can actually, like, have a kobold slum in your city if you, like, spare them. And I'm just like, that's fucking great. It's like, come live in my kingdom. I will ensure you jobs at the finest cotton factories. You will only lose one limb, I promise you. There's a game that getting it to run is a bitch, but it was made by the guys who made Vampire the Masquerade. Not Vampire the Masquerade,
You mean Troika?
Yeah, Troika. Troika made a Fallout 2 style game. Steamworks and Magic Obscura, that's it. It's literally a fantasy world that has just entered the Steam Age. And the problem with that is that Magic relies on, like, locally bending the rules of physics. So, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna light a cigarette with my finger. Cool, great. You have just managed to make the tip of your finger, like, super hot. That's fine. In a radius around you, friction has changed slightly. You don't know that, but the train you're currently in does, and is now flying off into the countryside at high speed to explode. So, magicians and anyone with, like, magical atrophy, and basically all elves, are back of the train citizens.
Oh.
Because it's like, yeah, no, you could break the train if you're up the front. And then that becomes like a social thing. It's like, oh, ugh, magicians. Okay, fine. Or like dwarves being like, oh, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to clean the bed when you're done like sleeping at my inn. Oh, I guess I'll just burn the mattress. That'll be extra 2 gold, please, so I can buy a new one. Genuinely that kind of mentality. And I kind of love the idea of the sort of horrifyingness of turn industrial era racism mixed in with a fantasy setting, where it's stuff like elves checking like skull size, and it's like, oh
my
no,
God. Yeah,
that game has some fucked up narratives in it, but at the same time, I watched 2 different YouTubers, Mandalore being one of them, covering it, and then went, I'm gonna play it myself, and then realized they have told the story, they have not shared the experience. You have to play that game. It is a fucking experience. Fucking crit failing with an elephant gun and killing yourself in like the first like 10 minutes of the game is incredibly funny.
That sounds good. That's something that's super important about like any kind of YouTubing, because people, it seems like the trend with YouTube nowadays, and I'm guilty of it, is to be like, well, I'm watching this video about this game, I want to know everything that happens in it, so YouTuber, tell me what happens in it. But I don't like making stuff like that, because if I'm talking about a game, I will usually almost always be saying, you should play this. You should experience this. You should know how this goes. You should see what this is like for real, because there's surprises here that if I spoil, you know, you're not going to get anything out of it. In some cases, like when I watched a video about the game Baroque, I don't think I ever would have played Baroque. Because Baroque sounds...
that's the weird...
It was on like the Sega Saturn or something.
Yeah.
That game is really weird, but it's incredibly cryptic and obtuse to play. Like, there's a lot of elements of its design that are just not user-friendly.
Yeah.
And
it's technically a roguelike before that was really a thing.
Yeah, it's one of those games that, like, if you were back in that time and you had in the late 90s and you had all the time in the world to pour into playing it, you would eventually discover its secrets. But now secrets? What the secrets of the Great Baroque? If you had all that time, you could have learned all this stuff. But nowadays, no one is going to pour that time into it unless they are really, really down for it.
Yeah.
So I was fine watching a video that just told me like, okay, here's what happens at the end and why that's not the real ending and why you need to play the entire thing again and not do this one thing so that you can then get the third ending. And it's like, okay, all right, that's cool.
I know the plot of that game, and holy shit, it goes places.
Yeah. But if it's like Legacy of Kain, I'm like, no, see how Legacy of Kain ends for yourself, because why not? Otherwise, I'm just telling you about a fairly decent old Zelda game, basically.
See, that's the thing that I have an issue with my videos, is that the way I do my videos is they're like long plays, essentially. I call them talk throughs.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, I'm going to go through how I played this game and discuss like my experiences as I was going through it in a funny reviewer kind of way, whereas yours is more, I want to call it like the metadata of a game, if that makes more sense.
Yeah.
The meta experience as opposed to like just goofing around. It feels like we have completely different approaches to how we want to like share a game experience, because I love telling people like, hey, here's a game you probably haven't played, like the Syndicate 2012 FPS.
Yeah.
And how I think that like, there are moments in that game that are really fucking fun, but it's stuck in the Syndicate 2012 FPS. It is the most bland fucking toast sandwich of a video game. But then occasionally you get like a little bite of like, I don't know, marshmallow filling, And it's like, oh, some flavor, cool, neat. And it's gone to the toast void.
Yeah, I love playing games where there are moments where you can actively see a developer just being like, please notice me. I did this. I was here.
Yeah.
And it's often like tucked away, or it's like a specific quest line or a line of dialogue or something like that. And it stands out just enough that you perceive it. And it is just like you described.
There are little moments of just like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a larger experience. I cannot recommend someone go to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're not going to have fun. Like, I have fun with this because I'm enjoying telling you the cool shit that happens. I really like Black Ops 3, but the combat's kind of shit, and the plot is entirely told by, like, text boxes that you can miss between missions. Like, it does the Black Ops thing where it, like, scans for a bunch of text and then pulls out words to tell you, like, what your mission is. But if you pause and read all that text, it recontextualizes the entire fucking story. And you get to the ending and you're like, oh, that was a boring game, you know, what the hell was all that about? And then you read this, like, text box and it's like, oh, that is better. I wish it was told to me in gameplay. It feels like someone had that as an idea and then corporate went, no, take a Plex, no. Make it just about Call of Duty Cop Man and you know.
Well, that's definitely. I feel like that's a sign of someone who has been brought on to work for one of the premier gaming franchises and been told like, yeah, it needs to be lowest common denominator. You're putting a lot of thought and love into this, but like, no, we can't fit all this in. This needs to come out every year, and then them just chucking it in anyway in whatever way they can because they're proud of their writing.
Hide their little story in there. Which, well, at least it's not like the Pokemon thing where they made all those like slash fics.
What?
Yeah. Did you not hear about this?
Oh god.
No. Are we going back to monster fucking? Like,
in some cases.
This is old news, but it's bad. Like it's real.
A couple of months ago, there was a mega leak. And the mega leak had a lot of internal development shit. I think like Nintendo overall, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not 100% on the sources of it.
Related stuff. And a bunch of it was them trying to write like a mythos for one of their more recent games.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, we want to write like a bunch of like ancient history stories that we could like sprinkle into our game.
And they're meant to be like themed and based off of old folk tales and stuff from like Asia.
I think I know what Pokemon game you're talking about.
A lot of them are genuinely like ancient Greek horror tragedy experiences where it's like, and then he became a man and gave her a child, then turned back into a Snorlax.
Okay,
And
this sounds cool.
Don't say that.
Or a village like kidnapping a fucking what was it? I forget the lazy one. Oh fuck. Will murder me now because we were talking about it last time we were hanging out. But they murder one of them because it just doesn't flee. This is a very descriptive description of like a Pokemon being murdered by like people with spears. And it's like, oh.
See, the weirder ones are the ones where it's just like, and then the
fucked.
Pokemon captured this child and raised it as their wife in a cave in the middle of nowhere. And then there are other ones where it's like, and then she passed out in a thing that was full of these particular Pokemon, and then woke up and gave birth to these things, and it's like, yeah, not good.
Okay. The first one I could see someone who just didn't think about it, thinking that it was just a cute little tale. The second one, no.
So like I'm paraphrasing them.
They straight up just like took like Greek horror and just started like writing it to the Pokemon on the face of like the gods, basically.
Yeah, in the most charitable interpretation of it is it's we're gonna take the most out there elements of old mythology and folk tales and all that kind of stuff that are similar to ones that were told a long time ago. For some reason, when it comes to myth and legend, it's like, it just gets a pass, you know, right? Because it's allegory or whatever. But then when it's like put into the context of a world full of children doing things with animals. Yeah.
I need a beer. Does anyone want anything?
No, I'll have a beer.
All right, cool.
Going.
1 second.
I haven't been talking out of pocket enough this episode, and I feel like I need to increase that.
me doing all the terrible shit.
Is that TV that is because now we're in the new crate? There are new things.
Yes, there are.
That TV does it hook up to anything? Because I can see PS2 controllers.
Yep.
Okay, that would be quite a fun premise of just sitting here and playing games while talking shit.
I kind of like that. I mean, at the moment, I've got I've got a PS2, Nintendo Switch, an original Xbox, a GameCube, and an N64 hooked up
Like
to it.
each recording, one of us, instead of picking the topic, picks the game.
Ooh.
But they force the others to play, essentially.
This is your only place transition.
I don't mind that. I mean, if that's something that would interest you, do say, because I can see there being a different set of appeal between just having a podcast where it's solely focused on the conversation and having something that is focused on...
I'm imagining as you play it, like, people aren't... It's going to be a thing that goes on in the background whilst we talk that will facilitate more conversation. I don't necessarily mean sit here, do a playthrough, right?
No.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's more like Yahtzee Croshaw of Zero Punctuation / Fully Ramblomatic fame had a show called Let's Drown Out. Again, there's own YouTube channel, which is basically just that. It is just a conversation while a game is on in the background.
If you, the audience, would like the idea of us just sitting around playing a game whilst talking to each other, then please.
I think it would also give... You could just have it, because you could record it. Like, have that going on in the background. You don't have to have the audio for the game.
Yeah.
It's like the thing going on.
Yeah, that's quite fair.
We are entering
Set
our
up a capture card and then off we go.
Yeah, the true second monitor core content. You know, it has a visual element that you don't pay attention to.
We can play Hooligan on your PC.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the copy of Hooligans I've got. I feel like Hooligans is one of those games that I might have to be like, hold on a minute, I have to pay attention to this. What the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, we could put something like Ridge Racer on or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think anything that's like multiplayer like that. Simpsons Hit and Run as well would be a good one.
Good one,
like,
yeah.
Like my suggestions are pretty much all going to be PS2 because that was my childhood.
Oh, actually, no, we'd have to. I was going to suggest we could make Angles play Ace Combat Zero.
Oh, true. I've got Ace Combat 5.
That is a good choice.
But I don't have Zero, sadly.
As long as you look,
stupidly expensive.
as long as you don't force me to play the postmodern masterpiece.
Oh, you mean yeek?
Yeah.
You don't want to yeek it up with friends.
I'm scared of playing that game.
Angles.
Yes.
Michael has a gun now. You don't know who that is.
I don't
But
know
he
who
has
that
a
is.
gun now.
Dude, yeah,
They gave him a
man.
gun.
I just know that with a slight tonal change to my hair and like a certain outfit, I could look like that guy from Yick, and I don't want to.
Angles, I've got the clothes. I could make it happen.
God.
The fucked thing is, am I more Rory or Michael? Oh, you got the blonde hair.
You talking personality or like look?
Look.
Okay. You look more Rory. If you grew your hair out,
Ugh.
you could be a lot more Rory. I'm sorry.
Damn, no one cares about me.
But also, if you go to cons, not everybody cosplays as people they look exactly like. I'm just
true.
I gotta ask, because you went to con more recently than I haven't been in years, right?
Mm.
How strong is the cosplay scene?
pretty strong.
Like, has it retained its luster? Because I imagine it's something that would have fallen off quite aggressively.
Yeah, you'll see a guy dressed as Jason Voorhees who's like 7.5 feet tall, who's just dragging the body in a sack behind him.
Yeah.
And like you just see that going down the middle of the aisles, and that's fucking rad. You'll see
That would
Leon.
be the best way to disguise a murder.
I
I am a cosplayer.
Yeah,
This is my cosplay
you-
corpse.
I saw a really good Big Boss and Quiet at one point who actually had to get their guns confiscated because they looked too real.
Yeah.
I saw a Leon Kennedy who was doing the original Resident Evil walk as he was going down the aisles, which was amazing. And a Cloud in the dress from the Final Fantasy VII
Let's
remake.
go.
I've seen at the local cons an alarming number of furries.
Oh yeah, no,
That's
especially
a staple. That's a staple.
especially here. One of them is Dr. Face, the TF2 YouTuber.
Fucking really?
Yeah.
Small world.
I know, right? That's the thing. I've not gone to the local cons in a good while. It's only London I'm sort of thinking about. I want to go as Kitten, Hunter the Parenting Kitten, at one point.
I think if you go as that, but then refuse to talk.
I need.
So the only people who will know are the people who've listened to this. You just go there as a silent protagonist kind of creature. Who is, hey, I get that, that's from that niche thing, and you just nod at them.
Yeah.
I would absolutely get someone to apply horrible grey paint makeup on me, get one of those fucking teeth masks, and along with nothing personnel, wig and just go as Piotr.
Yes, that would be so good.
Because I'm imagining you going with like to do like the grey face. It's a balaclava that goes over the entire, but it's like worn backwards, so you can't see your eyes or anything.
Like a morph suit one.
Yeah, like a morph suit one,
Yeah.
exactly like
Well,
that. With the ski goggles.
Well, you could do the balaclava with the eyes. You just have to put the ski goggles over it so that it covers the eye bit. There's a lot of kitten cosplays out there, and
Really?
I've spoken to 1 or 2 people who've done it who I could get guidance from.
Good,
because
That's
they
cute.
they
I
go
like that.
they go every year or so as kitten, which is awesome.
I got some really like cute notes a while ago about someone being like, I met my partner through your shows. And being like, oh, it's adorable.
It's very weird to be involved in content that actively affects people's lives.
Yeah.
And physically, and getting like a level of physical perception around that is very odd. Like I when I used to go to cons, I worked doing 3D printing essentially, where we did full scans of people and we would create 3D models of them in their cosplay. That was the business.
Oh,
It
cool.
was a cool thing. A guy comes up to us and is like, "Oh, hey, do you mind if me and my partner use this thing?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure." It's like, "Do you, like, I'm gonna go get her?" And he was a bit like weird about it. Well, not weird, but it's, he seemed a bit nervous. And okay, fine. And then they go into and it's a home built, mostly MDF scanner.
It's
it's
like
body
a couple
size.
of fucking Connect scanners.
It is about 200 cameras attached to Raspberry Pis, all on MDF custom built sort of towers that is got a circular frame around the bottom of it. You enter it, you stand in the center, and it does the whole thing. And then like he gets down on one knee and proposes to her, and it's very weird to think that they have in their house. I assume, or I hope they're still together, but they have this little statuette of the moment that they proposed at a con, and it's very cute. And it's weird to think about that, and it's like, wow, that they don't know my name, they don't remember us or anything like that. But like, it's weird to think of the knock-on effect that you have when the majority of the time you spend your life just like, I don't know, not doing anything that affects the outside world.
Yeah.
Especially as like computer goblins, it's very easy to kind of slip into that. I'm just at my desk 24/7. I do nothing, and then something happens. You're like, oh fuck! No, I do the ripples on the water of life that affects other things.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
I had a real moment like that a couple of days ago where I was traveling home and I walked by a truck that was pulling out. Well, the truck parked and like the guy waved past, so I walked past. And the guy pulled out and then ended up going up half the road and then stopped at a light that was like the direction I was heading.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up walking past and the guy looks at the light and leans out the window and goes, "Just my fucking luck, eh?"
Aww.
And I'm just like, "Sorry, man." And he's like, "No worries." And then sits back in his truck. And I'm just like, I changed that man's day by just walking past him. He suddenly had like maybe like 2-3 minutes out of his travel time.
Yeah.
And he had the impetus to lean out and talk to a complete stranger that was walking past like, "My bad.
Yeah.
I should have just left when you..."
It's weird being perceived.
Yeah.
Sometimes
the ripple effect. It's real.
There was an old job I went to where it was Halloween day, and in the office it was a case of like, you can come in costume if you like. We're gonna do some photos and we'll even do a little competition for like costumes and stuff.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind I didn't really have anything prepared, I just went as business skeleton, full suit, skull mask, that kind of thing. But the thing is that half of my commute was walking. Like the other half of it was public transport, but the first half of it was that I had to physically walk down to the bus station like halfway.
Did you feel dapper as fuck?
I did feel dapper as fuck, and I also, I was seen. I was seen by quite a few people just being a skeleton at like 7 a.m. And I was going by a couple of builders, and some of them sort of said like, "Nice outfit," and I just went, "Why, thank you, sir." And then as I went by, and I just thought, well, I've got a mask on, no one's gonna see me, but they're gonna think about that. I don't care if they took the piss out of me behind my back afterwards. Like, whatever, I've made their day, and it's no harm to me.
Have you guys played Repo?
Not yet, no.
Okay, that's kind of, because people have been talking about it being a better version of Lethal Company, and I'm just like...
It's made by more than one person, and it's also made by the Thunder Humor guys, who are fucking phenomenal.
Right, and I'm curious as to how people have found it, but if we haven't played it, then that's...
I've played Pilgrim, which is a similar...
Yes,
yeah.
I've seen Pilgrim. Pilgrim looks weird.
I like
very
Pilgrim.
weird.
I think Pilgrim's very fun. I think we should play it. It's also got a little bit more support for more than like 4 players.
Right, okay.
But that's a different spin on Lethal Company I've really enjoyed, because it's technically endless, but rather than you matching this quota, you're just trying to get by and survive and like keep going with your caravan.
Yeah.
But,
Oh god, I'm just picturing first person Oregon Trail.
first person shitting yourself.
Yeah, or like hunting buffalo, like getting out your little cart, like, guys, should we stop here and hunt? Do we have enough supplies to last us to the next, like, base?
I'm surprised someone hasn't done that kind of thing yet. Someone must have done, right?
Someone must have.
Yeah.
There's a few games that I've seen recently that are about, like, being on a train and having, like, survival crafting mechanics. Like, having to stop the train around an island to get supplies and that. But I think it was that one that had the spooky, scary spider train that became, like, a big fucking YouTube brain rot character for a while.
Yeah, sorry, if you're hearing screams in the background, you probably aren't because of the mics, but yeah, believe we're passing through a haunted graveyard.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they ship these days.
I know. I mean, like, expedite, I mean, oh, right, it's probably,
It's probably the crew.
yeah, I think we're in Kuei Jin territory.
Oh, no, not the Kuei Jin.
If we were near Thailand earlier and there's like haunted spirits and things, then we could eventually be decanonized by the World of Darkness.
I love Orientalism.
Oh boy! Oh god! Don't get me started.
Have we? I was gonna say, when are we next gonna do a vampire?
Well, we're not.
It's gonna be full of Nosferatu references.
Oh, 100%.
I was 100% tempted to try and get a bunch of Dracula flow clips on the Proof Discord. Just so I did a Skype call gag again.
All right, as long as you handpick them, because when you put the Francis E. Deck stuff on in the first episode, I was so afraid
I
that the
handpicked
N word.
that, don't worry.
I'm so afraid the N word was going to turn up on my fucking stream and end my career. But
Thunder, come on. I'm not that much of an asshole.
I thought you were going to say Thunder. Come on, no one's career ends with the N word.
It truly begins.
Oh god.
Jesus.
I mean, fuck, if fucking Dr. Disrespect can get back online, you can't do anything
Oh, fucking no!
nowadays.
Yeah, like no one gets cancelled. It does. It's a fucking like it.
No one's ever really gone.
It's
We
just,
all float down here.
yeah, we all float. Fuck. Yeah, that shit pisses me off.
Yeah.
But hey, that's a conversation for a different podcast.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for our To Catch a Predator style Sting podcast that we're gonna make.
I would unironically, I don't know if the audience would enjoy it, but I would unironically enjoy chatting about, like, conduct in the creator space and, like...
I'm not qualified for that. Are you kidding?
No, specifically, like, when should you just be told, like, that's it, you're off the internet, go. Get out of here. Fuck off. Like, permanently burn kind of thing.
That becomes a higher question about whether or not people can atone for things without X outside of punishment and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like much like Thunder just said, I am not qualified to talk about that, but I will randomly bring it up.
Qualifications, who needs them?
True, it
Yeah.
hasn't done us any good. Oh no, that was too real. Oh fuck! Oh god!
Well, you know what we might be qualified to do if you're interested in segueing to it?
Oh sure. Yeah.
It could be to respond. It's respond to the Oracle, yes. We have a few-
Oh, has contact arrived from outside?
Yeah, they it's all written in Vietnamese. Let me just translate.
Okay, the
real
ones
quick.
It's written in Vietnamese. It's on one of those old multi-crystal display ticker boards they used to have in stockrooms.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
the only way we could get the signal through.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
our crate is full of those because they don't get used anymore.
Yeah.
So, this one's cheeky because it's technically 4 questions in one.
Jesus.
But it's basically opposite ends of each side of
Okay,
it.
alright.
But we'll go with it. This question comes from beloved patron Aderos. What is the absolute worst thing you've eaten? Then what's the worst dinner experience you've ever had? This one I'm actually having a hard time thinking about because I can think of bad things I've eaten, but I'm not sure the worst.
An entire tumbler glass of hot sauce.
Oh.
Does that count as eating?
I had some cheese with it, so technically it's a soup.
Okay, right.
Why did you do that again?
Charity reasons.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
Yeah.
good
Cast
reasons.
Protection League got a whole £15.
That was worth what happened to your
Absolutely worth it. I lied on the floor-
$15 is $15.
I lied on the floor for like 6 hours. I probably gave myself a stomach ulcer, but Cat's got money, yo.
So was the question like worst food and then worst dining experience?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have any
It-
funny answers to that. That's the problem with it. It's just like I've had bad service where something about me. I have never dined and dashed. It's not something I've done.
Me neither. But...
I generally don't eat at places where I think that people need to be fucked over. However, the worst dining experience I've had is a situation where I was the closest to considering it and just getting up and leaving. Because it was like 30 minutes between ever seeing a server and receiving menus and all that kind of shit. But that's just kind of boring. I've had funny dinner services. I've gone to sort of Italian restaurants where my friend comes across as so stupid that the server feels the need to cut his food for him, which was quite funny.
What the fuck?
We went to an Italian place where they served... Okay, I don't know what the fuck they're called. They are literally... They're rolls of ham with mozzarella in it. And then draped in like tomato sauce.
I've seen them.
Really nice. I mean, they're just... I mean, that's 3 generically nice ingredients, and they just put... You don't even have to try hard to make that taste good.
That's the main reason Italian food's like the most beloved in the world, is because they just mastered the tomato.
It's just so good. And yeah, he was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to have this. And he was having a real problem with like how to eat it. And as he was like kind of making a funny bit, like, oh, how do I eat this? Oh. One of the waiters comes past and just goes, because he can tell that he has been taking a piss a little bit. He goes, oh, would you like me to cut that for you? And what he does is he like leans over from behind him, does the full, oh my god, what's that one fucking movie? With the clay sculpting.
Oh, Ghost.
Yes. They do the whole thing where they reach over him and take his hands, hold his hands, who were holding the knife and fork, and cut it for him. You cut it like that. And he just goes bright fucking red. And he's just like mortified that in the middle of a busy service, he's getting essentially baby birded this food as it's cut for him, and then put up into his mouth.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah, it was
holy shit, that's hilarious.
so fucking good.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that was really bad for him, but I found it funny. In terms of worst food, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know. I probably poisoned myself with something at some point.
But that's the thing, because like I'd say that food that I've fallen sick with isn't necessarily the worst food I've had, because like I liked the food, it's just made me sick afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Like that kind of thing.
Alternate answer, right? I would say this is a fair answer. Is the most depressing food you've eaten.
Oh.
Fuck me.
Oh.
Because it's also the worst food. If you think about it, the worst food I've ever prepared myself is what I have now referred to as the sad boy sandwich.
Uh-huh.
It is 2 slices of bread, no butter because you can't afford it, and just sliced hot dogs. The Frankfurter ones.
Oh!
Too advanced.
Straight
You
out.
have meat in it.
You don't even cook it.
Toast sandwich.
No, okay, toast sandwich is unironically good. I'm gonna die.
I'm glad someone else agrees with me,
me.
but it's also like the most depressing fucking meal because it's just 3 slices of bread.
It is, however, it is good. And I challenge anyone who is listening to this to tell me otherwise. It tastes good. As long as you butter both sides of the toast that go between the
Little bit
bread.
of salt, little bit of black pepper.
Okay, don't add any salt or black pepper, you're weird, but, you know, like, other than that... Like,
You mean, how dare he add flavour to his toast sandwich?
if you're going to go with the full British meme of we can't cook, don't put any kind of seasoning on.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, that's the meme.
We travelled across the entire world looking for spice and then stayed there.
Yep.
Yeah, well...
Probably saying we didn't like how spicy the food was.
Oh, fuck.
We went all across the globe looking for flavours and then went, I like it.
No, we just took it and sold it to other people.
Yeah.
People with palates.
I think with the depressing angle, I think you've given me...
That's me!
Yeah.
Sorry.
You've definitively given me the answer to that question then, which would be the 45 pence pate and cream crackers.
Oh my god, the cracker era.
Yeah, so at one point I was so broke that I was like, well crap, I've got to cut down on basically anything I can eat. So I would just be eating cream crackers with pate on them because those were the cheapest things that were available. And you might be thinking, but surely pate is fancy food. No, they can sell really cheap pate in Aldi.
I was going to say, is this the Tesco brand, like cheapest as fuck, or is this Aldi, or like, where are we talking?
Yeah, this was Aldi own brands. Like,
And you looked at the
cheapest
place
stuff.
where getting that shit from Aldi was like a fucking, basically an hour travel.
Yeah, it's a 30-minute quest, and then you sort of had to go all the way back
Yeah.
as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
Yeah, and that was
To get something that is essentially one grade over cat food.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And like that was a real bad time. And I suppose with that level of association, that's worse than like anything I've had that I've just not liked. Like that's worse than surströmming, which I've had.
Have you had surströmming?
Yes. It was the only bad thing I've had in Sweden.
Really?
I actually like quite a lot of Swedish food, but surströmming was awful.
So I've heard a lot of Swedish food is very much hear me out, bro. I can believe it. But surströmming sounds fucking horrible.
Here's the thing. It is not as bad as people make it out to be.
Right.
Because you know how you get like clickbait videos where people go like, ugh, ugh, ugh. I mean,
yeah.
I had a similar reaction to that, but it was more because literally everything else I'd eaten beforehand tasted beautiful, and then I had that, and it was such a sharp contrast.
Yeah.
But literally everyone else around me, I hate using the word literally, but it was literal in this case, so I've done it correctly. Millennials. Wait, that's
what you are, you fuck.
Fuck. They were just like, yeah, it's not good.
No.
Like it's not worth it.
This ain't great.
It was almost comical how it's literally as soon as you've got the can open, immediately flies. Every fly in a 3-mile vicinity flies. Like,
decomposing meat.
Buzz over. I've been waiting for this.
This is what I'm here for.
This is my moment.
You've got to open it underwater and have it outside.
I'm trying to think of anything that's even close to that I've had that is that bad. But no, surströmming is just a special kind of heinous.
Yeah. As for worst dining experience, it's probably like a dinner we had for my mum for her birthday at one point. My mum is born a couple days after Christmas, so most businesses were like shut.
Yeah.
And they were only just reopening.
Yeah.
And waiting was super long. The rest of my family had like very young children who were crying and like because they were starving. And it just took like hours for anything to get made. And the food wasn't even good.
That's the kind of problem with those situations, isn't it? It was just bad. There's nothing funny about it. It wasn't. Yeah, it just sucked.
Sorry for your question, not to make us our bunnies.
Well, we do. Adaros has also asked the flip side.
Okay.
Like best thing you've eaten and best dining experience, and I suppose like I could wrap those up in one, like just from the immediate thought I've got, which was
yeah.
Well, I didn't know that would make you laugh.
Oh, I just thought of a terrible answer.
Oh, I see.
I was going to say the best thing you've ever eaten. It's like, well, you know, I assume you mean food. We can't just say partners here, can we? No? Okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's thing, isn't it? If the worst
No, fuck you. Fuck both of you. Answer the goddamn question
If the worst thing you've eaten is the curb, then whatever.
Eat the fucking
it's
food.
an answer. Anyway, best thing I've eaten, best dining experience would probably be I went to a seaside cafe in Galston, a very unassuming seaside town.
Yeah, tasty name.
And their
Sounds
special...
like a medical condition.
It does sound like
I'm sorry, you've got Galston. It does sound like gallstone, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But the special on that day was beef ribs.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, sure, I love like baby back ribs, so sure, why not? And genuinely, fucking fantastic. It was a quiet day. It was like this time of year, but at the seaside. So it wasn't busy, but it was warm enough that it was all right. It was just a little bit outside. There wasn't too much wind.
Yeah.
A nice view of the beach. And I was just sitting there and I was having these beef ribs and I was like, these are phenomenal. These are fantastic.
Yeah.
I love these. That's the first one that comes to mind immediately.
Best dining experience.
I went to a pizza place in London when I was younger. And it was like a franchise pizza place. It might have been like a Pizza Express. It was not like a fancy place. But the building was really fancy. And the way that it was like set up, it felt like they were actually trying to be slightly more than just a franchise. They were just wearing the franchise's skin to like, you know, money reasons.
That makes sense.
And while we were there, my family was like, oh, I'm going to get this pizza. Oh, I'm going to get that pizza. I went and got mac and cheese. And it was the best fucking mac and cheese I've ever eaten.
Wow.
And to this day, like, even like, my mama doesn't make mac and cheese this good. And she makes some damn good mac and cheese. I one day wanted to find out how the fuck they made that so good. It was fucking perfect. Pasta was cooked to perfection. The sauce was really rich. The cheese was like throughout the sauce rather than just a layer on top. Which is the problem when you get mac and cheese. You get like that orange color, like cheap shit cheese sauce. And then like decent cheese on top, like a layer of mozzarella or whatever. So you're like, oh, this looks really good. And you open it and it just looks like dog vomit. Whereas this was like they had managed to like mix the cheese all the way through before they're baking it. So there was bits of mozzarella everywhere. The cheese sauce was nice and like bright, not bright yellow, but you know, rich yellow rather than that sort of like orangey color that the cheap shit is. And I fucking love mac and cheese. Like it's a great fucking food. But that to me is just like, oh man, if I go to London, I have to hunt down this fucking Pizza Express.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I'm trying to think of like what the best, because I'm a fat fuck and I love food, and it's so difficult to just be like to nail it down to one specific experience because it's not it's not just the food. That's the thing.
Yeah,
right?
it's the atmosphere.
The atmosphere, it's the time of year you're there and the thing that you're doing there while you're there. The two that come to mind are so fucking cliche, but it is the first full pizza that I got on the freshers night out that I was first here.
Oh.
Which was unironically an amazing pizza. It's the Fat Elvis, which
Is that a Voodoo Daddy?
it is.
Ah.
It is a thin based pizza that is bacon, brie, cranberry sauce, and I think turkey as well. With like sort of like chives all over it. That fucks. That was really good. And then when I say like, going out pizza, no, it was actually like a good pizza. It wasn't like a greasy sort of like piece of shit.
Greasy spoon.
Pizza shit.
Pizza shit. The other one is definitely up there, which was when I went to Budapest with my partner. We went to a place that specialized in making goulash, but the way that they served it is they served it in hollowed out loaves of bread.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, I know the kind.
Yeah,
I know this.
so you just had that, and it was so good.
When I was like secondary school, one of my teachers made that once. He called it bunny chow.
Right.
And it was like this is a thing I used to eat back when I was in South Africa, and I was like, this is fucking delicious.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's just beef stew in a hollowed out bread loaf.
Yeah, it was really, really good. It was, it was goulash rather than paprikash, and it was just like very, very nice, and it was on like a really lovely like sort of summer's evening in Budapest, and so it was dark, but like it was still warm, and it was all very beautiful, and and so the food was very, very good. I think that's probably the answer, but
It's good answer. I also like the name Bunny Chow. It makes me think of there were these super cheap pies that my mum would buy me sometimes, and she called them goblin pie. No, they were good. They were good. Cheap food, but it was good.
Why do I keep? What the fuck is that?
What is falling over there?
It was the remote, but
Oh, it can stay there. Whatever.
no, the remote's now back up. I don't know what that was.
Well,
Whatever.
I mean, hopefully it doesn't displease something in the container.
That's fucking delicious.
That does look good. Yeah.
Next question is from Witcher122, who asks, "Have you seen my pizza?" Yeah, it was the best thing that Angles ever ate.
Yeah, it was real good.
Yeah, it was
I saw it a depressing number of years ago. Not quite a decade, as we talked about, but...
All right, so the next question comes from Raziel Martellus96. If a Dawn of War 1 Dreadnought was thrown with the same energy as an Orc boy hit with a blast from the Dawn of War 2 orbital bombardment, how quickly would the Dreadnought still realize they will never download Dawn of War 3? Winter Assault. So the next question is from Vermin Lord Epsilon.
What fucking GCSE maths question was that? Like, if Terrence has 4 oranges and Mary has 6 oranges,
How fast does the plane crash into the Trade Center?
oh god!
All right, this next question is from Vermin Lord Epsilon, who asks, "Are you a Toreador fan or something else?"
Or something else.
Okay, the binary choice. Are you a Toreador fan or not?
Literally anything.
In brackets, it's just got favorite vampire clans and bloodlines.
Yeah. Toreador is slutty vampire, right?
It is.
Sorry. I mean the social manipulation vampire.
the artsy ones.
Yes.
The artsy ones. So VV from Hollywood. A lot of the ones in Hollywood, actually.
I'm gonna be the fucking awkward bastard here and say, as much as I like World of Darkness vampire clans, I'm gonna be the fucking one of those. Well, actually, I prefer Glasswalker werewolves.
Fair.
They're
All right.
fucking cool.
I guess that is technically an answer to the Toreador fan question. So yes.
It's like, are you a fan of Toreadors or something else? Well, something else.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about them. I think the Toreador have the least going for them in terms of like interesting clan lore. They're not quite as sort of like batshit as the Malkavians in a literal sense, but also they don't have the same level of sort of interest to me as things like the Kuei Jin, which I know are a clan, but like and are slightly different. But yeah, they're better than Gangrels.
Yeah. Well, what isn't?
I'll say that.
Yeah, fuck Gangrels.
Okay.
Gangrels are diet werewolves for people who are picky bitches.
Yeah, I get why people like Gangrel, and I also get why people wouldn't want to cut Gangrel, but I just think they fill a niche of, in some vampire lore, vampires have mastery over animals, and I just don't, like, in a world with werewolves and other lycanthropes in it, it just doesn't feel right to me.
Yeah, I think it really depends on how much you lean into it, and the way it's leaned into Masquerade. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't care. Like,
To me, it's pretty funny with how their whole structure is just like, oh, we weren't like a big old ancient vampire clan. We're just a bunch of wizards who like stuck up on a sleeping vampire and ate the shit out of him while he was sleeping.
the Samisi aren't a clan, are they?
The Zamitsi,
Yeah.
they are, but you can't play as them in Bloodlines, but they are a clan.
if they're not talking about playable clans specifically, then I was gonna say no. I'm much more of a Samisi kind of guy.
Because they're fucking cool. They're
What about the
horrible.
Giovanni?
The Giovanni, yeah. God.
We're Italian mobster vampires.
That's still more interesting than artsy vampire. Sorry.
Here's
Just mentioning Al Capone being a vampire and the IRS being like, we finally got you, and they stake him.
See, I'll come to bat for Toreador a bit because I think they're more interesting than Ventru. I get why Ventru exists, but I just think that like, what's your clan's gimmick? We're posh. Yeah, surely every one of these clans could be posh though, right?
I think Toreador and Ventru were at 1.1 clan that were then cut in half to add more clans.
Yeah, because then
they are the archetypes of vampires.
you've
They
got
feel like they have to exist out of a desire of polar opposites because Toreador are the most like human vampires.
yeah, they are.
True.
Ventru
yeah.
are the most vampire
That-
vampires.
Well, it's funny you say that because all the fancy stuff they do is very human.
Because
Yeah.
humans are evil.
Yeah, because they're not very good either.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they work with the fucking... Oh god, I forgot the name of the company now.
Pentex.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure...
Don't work with Pentex.
I'm pretty sure Pentex works with some high-level vampires.
Can I choose Thin Bloods as my clan?
You can. They are a
they're,
clan.
They're better. They're great. They're just a bunch of losers. And I feel very akin with these people.
Why would you want to be the vampire equivalent of type 1 diabetes?
Because that one lady on the beach is pretty.
Yeah, it's true.
Alright, fair.
She is very
See,
much because she's oh my god, what's
Thin blood
the-
Machiavellian.
Yeah.
I like when you ask her who you can trust. The only answer she gives you is Mercurio. I think that's really cute.
Oh, good old Joey Wheeler.
Yeah. I do like Toreador. I'm a fan of them. They were my first one I played through for Bloodlines.
Same.
I didn't spec into them very well. I barely put anything into combat, which made combat really hard for me.
Yeah.
Then you installed the patch to make combat not suck.
Yes, after the fact, which has made Malkavian a lot more fun to play. I do like Toreador a good bit. I don't know if I'd say they're my favorite. I have been really enjoying Malk,
That's
but
good.
it's hard for me to pick a favorite in Bloodlines because I've not played enough of it in detail really to make a full decision on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll move on to the next question. All right, this question comes from Erndil.
Oh god.
Hey, Andil.
Have you managed to wean yourself off of consuming Dr. White-esque meal concoctions, or have you delved back into consuming barbecue sauce sandwiches?
First of all, that was a Thunder brand construction. Second of all, no.
Literally just talking about pate and crackers.
Yeah,
Like a toast sandwich
That-
and how
that-
best to have it.
Yeah.
That was 6 years ago, mind you. Nowadays, I make actual meals.
Yeah.
Your Patreon money goes to actual meals.
Thank you,
None of us are
Patreon.
currently like starving students who are staring at our degree like, haha, I love the games industry is exploding.
Yeah. We have a question from Crimson Quill 086.
Ooh, good name.
So, besides sheer repetition, how have you developed your voice acting skills? Was it just a matter of practice by yourselves and with the rest of the team, or did you take any classes or courses of any sort? And for any aspiring voice actors, is there any advice you might give to handle the dreaded vocal dissonance?
Okay, so this one's a fun one. I have no training in voice acting, but I feel very strongly that I can say you will never like how your own voice sounds.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would agree with that.
What you do, you can pitch shift it, you can fuck around with the settings, you can do all sorts of weird wobbling. You will never like how your own voice sounds. You are predisposed to think your voice sounds shit. Get someone else in the recording session to direct you. Because they will be the one that says, that wasn't so great. Well, do that again.
Yeah, it was night and day with TTS when we actually started getting vocal directions. Because I remember early TTS, I'd just be like, cool, you've given me a script, I'll just read out my lines in a flat take, and then I'll send them to
And I get
Albert.
told, oh, can you change this? Can you do
Yeah,
that?
and you said this wrong, that kind of thing. Actually having someone like Alpha Abuser or Speaker sort of to bounce off of. Or even, sometimes I've voice acted with Zegram and we've just done a flat read of a script and just gone with it to just like a couple times over, just to be like, what sounds the most natural.
Yeah, and also just to get how the flow works.
Yeah, it's been cool. It's been really, really good.
That is the main thing. If you're doing a script with multiple people, see if you can record with the other people, because being able to bounce your lines off each other, super fucking important.
Yeah.
Otherwise, get a director involved. If you're working for a project, ask if you could be directed. Because that will night and day change the delivery of it.
Yeah.
Because the worst they can do is say, actually, I'm not sure if you fit this role, which, if you weren't going to do very well to begin with, them not being there is not going to change that. So having them there, actually, all it can do is increase your chances of doing better.
Yeah. I also want to give a bit of advice that I've realized on my own son. But like, it's always good to do multiple takes of a line read.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're doing it for your own project, don't be afraid to just go with the first take if you think you've already nailed it. I mean, listen to the others and see how they feel. But honestly, there's been a lot of times where I've gone like, actually, first time I did this felt the most natural.
Yeah.
And now that I actually edit for Ogre Popenang, I can, in quite a few occasions, edit Kitten's lines. And even though in that recording booth, like, a director has gone, try it like this, do it like this, I think we're getting close to what we want, I'll listen back and I'll just be like, actually, no, I did this first time just fine. If they really disagree with it, Alpha Abuser will do a final pass and will eventually swap the line around.
Yeah.
But
I think that is also something that's quite important is to remember that once you've given them the voice lines, it's out of your hands.
yeah,
They'll do what they want with it.
that's true as well, is that like ultimately you might know what you felt the best line read was, but like ultimately it's going to be their project, and it can be tricky sometimes.
Yeah, the editor will decide what your fate is.
Yeah.
When I was doing editing for them, I used to do a lot of splicing. So I have people who have done a really good opening to a sentence, and then somewhere around about the midpoint, they'd stumble over the last part of it, and then they'd do the line again, and then it doesn't sound as good, but they get the last part correct or whatever. Or there's just a certain delivery of a word they want changed. And I got really good at like YouTube poop tier sentence splicing, try and make people's like sentences sound organic. So very, very bizarre things like stretching out little segments of someone saying one word so that it pastes properly with another word. For example, if I was like, today is going to be the greatest day ever, and today is going to be the worst day ever, I would splice that on the going to be and try and time match the going to be together and then crossfade it.
Yeah.
And then do it in such a way that it doesn't sound like I'm crossfading two different takes of me, because they're timed the same, so it just sounds like me being slightly louder.
Yeah, that has been an editing technique I've had to do on occasion, with previous episodes of the podcast, actually, when there's been a weird, like, recording hiccup. Like a wrapper being unwrapped or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm really scared this episode's going to have a bunch of that. This is our first time doing it with these lapels, and
It'll be fine. I think it'll be fine.
I think we've been pretty careful about that because nothing we had has had wrappers. The only thing is the slurping from
yeah. Well, I've had to like stifle a few burps, and I'm like, if my microphone's down here, is it picking it up?
Yeah, I think that kind of stuff. I think we've been pretty okay, but we'll just see. According to it.
I hope that answers your question to some degree, Crimson Quill. Next question comes from Slab Next Door. Would you eat the crepe sandwich? A delicious, succulent cheese toasty wrapped in a crepe. There was no reason to do this. Why would anyone do this? But you could do this. You could enjoy this. Would you dare to try?
Okay. Does the crepe have sugar in its mix?
This is my first question as well. This is what I was wondering.
I'd try it. No, I don't need the preamble. Yeah, sure. It might feel like I'm eating takeaway through the brown paper bag that it came in, but like at the same time, I'd try it.
Or you get like a kebab and then they wrap the wrap. And you start eating it, and you're like, was that a mouthful of paper just now?
Yeah, was that
the bread
wrapper?
being really
Too drunk for
Sorry,
it?
can I just also say, I really respect this, because I'm assuming this is the person who made it.
Yeah.
I respect they made two. They knew they were going to like it. They knew they were going to fucking finish it, and they made two.
Yeah, good on them.
If you've gone for like a savoury crepe, I could see that working quite nicely.
Me too. I think the sugar would be a bit off-putting with it, but
I've had jam and cheese before, and it's pretty nice.
It depends what's in the sandwich.
yeah. I'll tell you what though, and I've never understood this. Eggs with anything sweet, like sweet bread, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I like
So
same
you
as-
eat cake, don't you?
Well, yeah, but the egg isn't like scrambled.
True, I
Like,
guess.
you wouldn't eat a fried egg with like
maple syrup on it.
Okay, you have not had eggy bread, have you?
I've had eggy bread.
Eggy bread's every
You would not put
Baller.
maple syrup on that.
I would
I
put maple
so
syrup on it.
would. What are you talking
Oh.
about?
If it's like French toast styled, where there's like cinnamon
It's
and a
a
few other
to-
things,
Oh,
it can work.
It's a toast fried with egg. Like,
you want ketchup and black pepper on that. Nothing
oh,
else.
nah,
I do prefer savory French toast, but honestly, I might not be making it right. That could be the thing. I'm not French enough for it. We have a question from Cobra the Iron Warrior.
Good name.
So this goes back to the very beginning of the episode where we
Oh,
were
fuck.
fighting things.
Okay.
Would you rather fight 100 pigeons while covered in breadcrumbs, or 10 hungry eagles who want your kidney?
Pigeons. Easily pigeons.
I'm also thinking pigeons, because the pigeons I don't think the pigeons would like be that aggressive.
I'm covered in breadcrumbs. I'd get a lot of like bite injuries, but I wouldn't get things trying to tear my fucking liver out. Whereas,
There's a lot more aggro and damage on the eagles.
yeah, I don't think I could strangle an eagle to death. I could crush a pigeon.
I don't think you quite realize how many 100 is. This is 100 pigeons, right?
Yeah, 100 is a lot of pigeons, but like, here's the thing. I've seen 100 pigeons before. You know what they do when they hear like a footstep?
Oh,
They go,
dude, I am imagining they are
Locked
like,
in on.
yeah, they are locked in pigeons.
Okay.
They are.
I genuinely.
I still think you guys are right.
it's a
but-
hard question if they are aggroed.
I have a separate idea. Try and aggro them as little as possible, and just treat it like one of those fish that eat like your skin. You know the ones?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
The spa ones where they
Yeah.
eat your dead skin. Like,
Just curl up into a ball and
no,
get.
just strip naked, lie down, and just be like, well, I'll roll over in 10 minutes, they can get the breadcrumbs off my back.
They were
Just let them just quietly, because they're not going to eat me. They don't want to eat person. I'm warm and also hard to chew through.
they're omnivorous, aren't they? I'm pretty sure they
They
would
are, but I
Yeah.
don't think they're aggressive towards people.
Nature eats anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we
Finally,
could.
the biggest issue I have with Beastars is how they're like, everyone is a herbivore. It's like, oh no, man, horses just fucking eat chickens.
Yeah.
I think I'm also going pigeons as well, just because that pairs better in my head with the Doom OST. Like,
just punching a pigeon.
I'm imagining
I
like
mean, Doom Free a chicken puncher. It's
exactly.
It's a
No,
rage.
no animals were harmed in the making of this episode.
Yeah,
Um,
and people do not count as animals for the sake of that disclaimer.
yeah, we could have done with a couple more parameters in this one, but like I think
No,
this is quite definitive.
yeah, I
on
think
the-
it's
on the-
either death or being pecked a bit.
Yeah.
I'm picking the being pecked a bit one.
I'll move on to the next question then.
Yeah.
This comes from Whiskey. Do you think there would ever be a bigger market for milsim tedium games, such as maybe a cargo truck sim through a war zone, or filling out train requests for shells on paperback?
I already kind of answered this in the chat, but I'm going to add my 2 cents. I think that would be fucking awesome. Whenever I play like Squad, I play logistics, and I get in the front of a logistics truck, and I start playing music over my mic spam kit, and I just drive guys back and forth from the front line supplies.
That was going to be my answer. You already get this stuff in armor, so I could see people wanting dedicated stuff for it. And also, if it's a cargo truck in a war zone, there's a few more failure states than Euro Truck Simulator because you could get blown up.
Yeah.
Um,
You could see an enemy tank and be like, shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, oh, you bumped another car, minus 50 million points. It's like, no, you can drive Mad Maxes if you want. Just get to the point.
I won't lie, I don't think it's necessarily for me, because I remember talking about hypothetical Warhammer game concepts with people way back in the day. And I remember being like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be cool if you had a first-person game and then you could like pilot a Baneblade and then you'd be flying that through? And another guy saying like, oh yeah, I'd love to be the guy who loads the shells. And I would just think, why would you want to load the shells? Why wouldn't you want to shoot the gun?
Yeah, wouldn't you want to be like the tank commander?
Yeah, but people have a niche for that.
Yeah,
They want
people
that.
shit. It would be a cool thing to do. It's much like Papers, Please, right? But it comes with the unfortunate caveat that the closer a society is to an actual war, the less popular that is. So it's interesting to see that any game that involves war sells worse in countries where war is more likely to happen at the current time, or war is currently
Are
happening.
you talking about cyberpunk games are doing really well? And have you seen Outside recently?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't look like a cyberpunk dystopia.
Yeah, that's true.
Therefore,
We're
it's
dreaming about the
not.
one where we could actually be angry and go in the street and shoot guns in the air, whereas
Yeah,
we're-
and
we're
eat
the one
noodles
where-
in the rain.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The quintessential cyberpunk experience. Noodles in the rain.
Noodles in the rain in
Yeah.
a trench coat.
Yeah.
You best start believing in cyberpunk dystopias, Miss Turner. You're in
one.
Yeah, no, that could be cool.
We've got a couple more questions before we finish. This one comes from Astral Fire.
Ooh, hey, Astral.
Dependent on how much you do tabletop RPGs, but to all of you, who were the first tabletop characters you've made/played?
Oh, that's gonna be a good one. Do you want it first?
Yeah, sure. So I think the first experience I had with tabletop RPGs, I was GM, but then the first character I played was for 5e D&D. I know, boring. And and it's a slightly more boring answer because I basically joined this group of like old school friends, and I was told by the dungeon master what the other people were playing as, and I was like, okay, well, in which case then I'll try and fill a role. You need tanks, you need healers, I'll go as a paladin. And I rolled up Koraz Angkor. Haha, dwarf. Just dwarf. He was a dwarf. He had a little book of grudges on him. None of the other people at the table knew anything about Warhammer, so I could get away with it, and they all thought I was a genius. But I really enjoyed playing as him. He's one of my most
You
fond
enjoyed
characters.
him so much, you made him a deity in your following campaign.
Yes, I did. I liked him. Well, he went through a character arc and stuff. His god ended up being made up completely by accident because I basically said to the DM, "What would my character's god be?" and pointed out Onatar from the Eberron pantheon. I misread it somehow as Unthar, and just through a game of telephone, basically, of writing and words and stuff like that, it just ended up becoming a god of aspiration who is embodied by the little meme post online of someone making the world's fastest tabaxi, which that was what Unthar ended up being. Unthar was the tabaxi that ran so fast that it
became a
ascended.
god.
Yeah, it ascended, and Karaz taking up the mantle eventually became Unthar.
On a similar vein, I have two characters because there's my first in-person character and my first pen and paper full stop character. The first pen and paper full stop character was a Shadowrun Vive character called Cuban Pete. He was the king of the Rumba Beat.
I remember you talking about Cuban Pete.
Half-orc demolition expert. I was playing with a friend who was playing basically just a character from Hotline Miami who went by the name Tony. And we both described our characters as like veterans of the Miami Wars. And so it was Cuban Pete and Tony going into clubs and getting into like horrible like altercations. He was a very fun character. I liked like trying to roll his PTSD in there. But then my first in-person character was for a campaign that you ran, Thunder, which was a little kobold called Beard, who I initially rolled as he wants to be like a pop star, so he's got like the David Bowie wig on and like face paint and that, and he's like, I've got to be the most famous musician ever, I don't care if I'm a kobold. And then towards like the end of that campaign basically turned into, what the fuck's the name? Moses Browning? No. The abolitionist who went completely nuts and...
Oh, fuck!
Yeah.
I want to say John Brown. I could be wrong.
I think it's John Brown. He basically turned into this, like, I demand equal rights for all races and I will kill anyone who gets in my way. Then it was a really...
Yeah, John Brown.
John Brown. Complete with the crazy hair and mad, like, mentality.
Yeah, that was basically right.
Dude was a very fun character, and while I'm glad to have played him, I'm glad he's behind me now and I can play other characters that are more, like, fleshed out and less, contentious.
Fair, yeah. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like what it would have been, and I imagine it would have been the character for that campaign as well. I think it would have been Russell, for 5e. I think maybe
Russell was great though. Blender.
Russell was fun. So Russell was a Kenku. Kenku are often named after sounds, and so he was Russell Crowe because he's a bird. Because I have to make my things memes. Their middle name was Feathers McGraw, because Wallace and Gromit, funny. Yeah, no, he was an assassin character. He was a monk with Shadow. Yeah, he was interesting. I liked him, but
he was a fucking blender.
Yeah, he very quickly became a character that wasn't really tenable with the attitude and kind of path of that sort of campaign and the other players in it. As he was like I will kill anyone if I am asked correctly, and first D&D characters are like that.
One of our earliest fucking sessions, Russell kidnapped a random like half orc.
Yeah,
and then just started like had them in the basement with like a lantern over them and was like torturing them for information about like a random cult.
Yeah.
The rest of us is like, oh yes, a wonderful day in this sunny little village. I sure wonder where our friend is.
Yeah.
Screams coming from the basement.
Meanwhile, I am torturing a half-orc with fishing equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah. When your DM says you're allowed to use tool proficiencies in any way you want, really hold them to it, because there are terrible things you can do with a fish hook.
And also because base 5e doesn't give you enough to do with it. That's a props to the newest edition, that it gives you a little bit more to work with.
Yeah, it's a little bit more.
But not by a massive amount.
Yeah, I think, Russell Crowe, the Kenku assassin, that was the...
We have got 2 more questions left. One of them comes from Demon Xenomorph 1986, who asks, would you ever make/do a meetup? If you can find us... we'd love to get out of here.
If you can open the container, we need a arc light, torch, and possibly tungsten blade, because we've tried less than that. And
honestly, I've tried scratching at the walls, just anything I could.
Yeah, you think 12 months reaching at a wall would eventually get you through it. Right?
We used Kojima as a battering ram at one point, and he came up with a bunch of great ideas after his head got concussed against the chamber.
Yeah.
They screamed Fred Durst for some reason and vanished into the darkness.
Yeah, we don't know where he's gone, but at least that organization isn't on our back anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been good. That's been fantastic. Yeah, I don't know. I remember talking about this back with we were on a stream with Alpha Abuser, and I remember the idea got brought up, and I remember Alpha was like totally against it. And I think like back then I was more like, no, it'd be kind of fun to like do like a con panel or something like that for like TTS at the time.
I feel like maybe he'd be more open to it now.
Maybe. I think for like Hunter, it would be pretty cool. As for just myself particularly, I mean, I've thought about doing it at like a Comic-Con. I might do an idea of like just going to like a convention at some point as Kitten, and then just doing like a surprise meetup with like organizing a Hunter meetup and just being like quietly there as Kitten. Which, now that I've said this, now anyone going to a Hunter the Parenting meetup is going to assume that I'm there.
Any kitten outfit is going to be you.
Yeah, which I don't know. I don't know if that will be.
What are you doing in Oslo?
Yeah, like whoa, flew all the way out to Baltimore, crazy. We have one last question from Mr. Aquila. Marmite, your thoughts?
Yes.
Polarizing
not
here.
Really, yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Big old spoon of it in bolognese. So fucking good.
I'd try it.
It just changes the flavor amazingly.
Yeah, I bet it changes the flavor. Yeah.
Okay, I can understand Marmite on its own on like bread. But what the fuck? Why is it here?
Yeah.
With something else, okay, it's kind of a flavor enhancer.
Yeah.
In a bolognese, holy shit, that meat tastes so rich.
So Worcester sauce as an addition to bolognese. I've mostly only had Marmite with like cheese sandwiches, really.
It's really cleaned out.
But like it's good with that. But other than that, yeah, it's good. It's all right. Well, I think if I was a kid, I would have hated it.
If you bake it, it changes flavor really weirdly though.
Oh, really?
Like if you put it on like toast and then bake, like you put it underneath cheese and then make a cheese toasty, the flavor of the Marmite will change because of like how the yeast structure breaks down into different forms. And it's what those fucking cheese twists taste like.
Oh,
they're like baked cheese twist things you get around Christmas.
I know the ones.
That's the flavor of like baked Marmite.
I've homemade those before. They're good.
I always find those a little bit like then again, it just reminds me of like being sick at Christmas.
Fair enough. Well, this has been nice.
Yeah, it's a nice return to form.
Return to...
You said the words.
You said the words.
The words were said. The pact has been sealed.
There's no out.
There's nothing. There is no outro to this. Like, it's just a case of like...
We'll see when the light fades.
Yeah, the light will go away, and we'll see. Hopefully, it will return.
Fade to the darkness, and the archangels will take us.
Oh, please take me, God!
Well, we'll join you next time for whatever creature is
decided upon by the audience.
Oh, when I've actually sorted the fucking tier list as well. I want to. It just needs to be done.
Ready?
Yeah. Well, it's in. Like I said, it's in shambles. It needs to be done. I need time to work on it.
All right, we can revisit the monster. Something has latched onto the top of the container, so
again.
We'll see.
Money about it being JDF.
Japanese Defense Force?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure we count as an invading element.
Surely we're EDF at this point.
EDF.